one. There we go. We're working. It's been a great start. It's been a while since I've been live. It's been at least 2 weeks and I still got it wrong. Should we try again? Hey guys, Sean here, and welcome to the qualifying watch-along for the Belgian Grand Prix of 2026. Very much looking forward to this one. One of my favourites of the year. One of the best tracks in the world, anywhere ever, and it's a great place to watch F1 cars, so I cannot wait for this. We've had drama already this weekend, and if you want to know who's looking good at the moment, his name begins with Kimi and ends with Antonelli, so he's looking very, very good this weekend. Hope you're all having a good one. I'll come and do shout outs in chat in just a second. Firstly, an apology. I thought I'd ironed this, apparently not, so you know. There you go. If mum's watching, sorry, but there you go. I forgot to iron it, but it just doesn't matter, does it? But I just thought I'd let you know, so there's nobody can moan at me for it. But yeah, very much ready for this. Also, I've put a poll in chat. Just a quick question, my third one regarding the future of the channel. Would you be interested in a new pre-race build-up live stream series? So that's something that would be an hour long. Start at, say, for example, in a European race, 12:45 p.m. BST, finish 15 minutes before the start of the race. We'll go through the grid, we'll talk strategy, speculate, make some predictions, cover any news or penalties, anything like that. And then we would end the stream. We'll all go watch the race, then we'll come back again for the race reaction. It's a way to kind of do extra streams on a Sunday without relenting on my insistence that I won't do a race watch along. So yeah, just an idea. Let me know what you think. It could be tomorrow. I'm currently working on overlays and things, so and I'm putting way too much effort into it, as I always tend to do. So yes, that is, just get your votes in. So far it's going the way I thought it would, to be honest. Quite a lot of you saying yes, so we'll see how we go. If not tomorrow, then definitely for Hungary to give them a go, and then we'll go on from Zandvoort as well. But I'll give you a little update on some other stuff as well later on. But let's say hello to Farolito Hernandez. I hope I've got that right. Which 80s sitcom is this theme from? Oh, it's a medley. Yes, it's a medley. It's a medley. We love a medley. Can't go wrong with that. Hey to Fud says, what would an 80s sitcom based around F1 be called? Good question. That's one for testing. Definitely saved that one. Pascal says, good afternoon, Sean and chat. Hey, Pascal. How is everyone doing? I am more hopeful for a decent quali for Audi than after FP3. Hopefully, one car can sneak into Q3. Hey to Annette. Hope you're well, Annette, as always. Hello to Red Raven. Says, here we go. All right. Calm down, Fabrizio. Sad Mariners fan says, morning, Sean. Hi, mate. Hey to Kevin as well. Says, good day, everybody except Granny Annie, who's obviously good evening. There's no hate there, hopefully, anyway, so there we go. Hope you're all well and having a good one. I'm ready for this. Let's run through the result from FP3. A couple of things to bring up from that. So firstly, Kimi Antonelli fastest. He was fastest in FP2 yesterday. Max Verstappen's been kind of, dare I say, the surprise of the weekend in some ways. He was fastest in FP1 yesterday. He was P3 today. Lando Norris in P2, getting on for a tenth and a half behind Kimi. Max Verstappen 9 thousandths further back. I didn't think Max was going to be in the mix, even though I predicted him for P3 for the race on Wednesday, but there you go. George Russell P4. That, to me, all right, nearly 4 tenths off his teammate. If we're being fair, more like 3.5 tenths off, just over. That felt like a big lap towards the end of FP3 today, because he'd been kind of nowhere all weekend compared to his teammates. So to see, 3.5 tenths is a lot to somebody in an identical car. That's definitely a step up from where he seemed to be, or at least it felt he was. So that was a big lap for George. Lewis Hamilton, big hit in FP3, literally hit the wall at the, I always forget the corner somewhere. Hit the wall, damaged the right rear. Apparently the car will be ready in time for qualifying, so that's great news. He will be ready to go for Ferrari. Charles Leclerc, 7.5 tenths off the fastest time from Kimi Antonelli, so a little bit concerning. I keep headbutting the mic today. I'm sat wrong, I think, but anyway, a little bit concerning for us Ferrari fans that that's the situation at the moment. Hopefully Charles and Lewis will find some pace, but again, Hamilton the better of the two at this stage. Feels at the moment more like a Red Bull Ring weekend than a Silverstone weekend, but we'll see. Oscar Piastri P7, quite a way off his teammate in the end. Nico Hulkenberg, Gabriel Bortoletto 8th and 9th, as Pascal alluded to in chat there. Fanya, thank you. Thank you, John T. Amford. It was a Fanya where he had his accident, thank you. Hadjar P10, not great, but We'll see what he can do in qualifying. 1.1 off the fastest time, a second off his teammate. Lindblad and Lawson, 11th and 12th of Racing Bulls. Then it's Colapinto, Bearman, Gasly, before Albon, Bottas, Sainz, Ocon, Perez, Alonso and Stroll. It was only practice, but Alonso was 1.1 seconds as the fastest Aston Martin behind the slowest Cadillac again. So, yeah, they can't wait for Hungary. There's a little bit of me, the evil, twisted swine in me, that kind of almost wants Aston Martin to turn up with this B-spec car and it still be terrible, but there is a much bigger part of me that really wants them to rock up and shock us all. I'm not sure they will. They're being relatively modest with it, but we'll see what happens. There's some talk that it won't all be ready for Hungary, or at least they won't have the spare parts for it. So that's a little bit concerning for Aston, but they need something really quickly, don't they? Because it's a mess. It's a mess. And I think, if they want to keep hold of Fernando Alonso, they need to deliver with this Hungary update. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I think the Honda update is coming for Zandvoort, I believe. So that's in good time for the Madring and Monza. So that's probably pretty good for them. But yes, they are exactly 2 left feet. They are hungry for Hungary. Love it. Fantastic. Fantastic chat there. So yeah, very much looking forward to this. I think we've got a lot of unknowns going into it, and maybe we can talk about this tomorrow if we do the pre-race stream, but I'll mention it now just in case I can't be ready for that one. In terms of pace this weekend, it's been difficult to judge long run pace. Single lap, Kimi Antonelli has been the fastest. The funny thing is, you look at that FP3 top 3, that's actually consistent with what their single lap pace was yesterday. The top 3 yesterday was Antonelli, Norris and Verstappen on single lap pace. The top 3 in FP3 today, Antonelli, Norris and Verstappen. So clearly there's something working in the data there. And the long run pace, difficult to judge because we only got some very short stints because of the disrupted FP2. But Kimi Antonelli, perhaps unsurprisingly, quicker over his long runs than Verstappen. Antonelli a 151.511 over 4 laps. Verstappen averaged a 51.876 over 7 laps. So yeah, Kimi Antonelli very much looking like the guy to back this weekend, which is typical because I've backed him most weekends this season in my preview predictions. And the one weekend ago with Ferrari, Kimi turns up again. So yeah, and Ferrari crap the bed, which is about right. We're not surprised. Pascal says it will be at Hungaroring next weekend. I can't wait. Love Budapest and the Hungaroring. So did you go last year, Pascal? I think, was it you that went last year, Pascal? Possibly. I might be wrong, but yeah, Budapest or Budapest, however you want to pronounce it, whichever is correct, you can let me know. I'm happy to change my Budapest pronunciation if I need to. It's a beautiful city anyway, so it's just a lovely place, and I love the track as well. It's kind of, people still call it Monaco without the barriers, but that's not accurate anymore. It used to be, it very much used to be, but now it's a much more fast flowing track. Frankly, a bitch to overtake on, but what F1 track isn't these days? But yeah, certainly not the Monaco style that we've been known. It's been known for over the years, so that's good. That's good. Honda bringing their new engine in the Dutch Grand Prix, says Kevin. Yeah, I thought it was Zandvoort, but at least that's well in time for certainly Monza being quite a power hungry track. Is going to be interesting, and I don't know what everyone's thought about how harvesting and recharges work this weekend. From what there was an onboard lap with I think it was Max Verstappen in FP3, and as soon as he got at the top of Radion, they cut to an off-board shot. So I don't know how things are going. I've not seen a lot of onboards, but I've also not seen a lot of moaning, so maybe things are okay, but we'll listen in qualify. Maybe we'll get some more on boards to tell us. But Red Raven says, feedback to the poll. I have voted no. I am not opposed to more streams, but to be frank, I am not sure what we could talk about that we aren't already talking about on the Q streams once Q3 is done. Yeah, I think what I'd probably do, and that's very, very fair feedback, what I'd probably do is I probably wouldn't go into any detail post Q3 in future. If we were to do them, I'd probably just read through the result. We talk about what we just watched rather than looking ahead to the race, then use the Sunday as the look ahead stream, if that makes sense. So that's fair feedback. That's fair. It's nothing. Look, nothing's guaranteed. Even if 100% people voted yes, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. It was just an idea. It's all part of this wanting to go full time with the channel. Just to clear that up as well. I did say 2 weeks ago that the goal was to go full-time from Belgium. What I've done is been a grown-up and sensible, and I've picked up some more shifts where I've been sort of earning a few pennies just to get through the summer, and then with the goal to sort of go full-time from Zandvoort, because it feels a bit silly to go full-time right before I'm about to go into an off period for F1. So I thought, as Liam put it the other way, what was it? Secure the bag. I assume that means something to do with money. And then we'll worry about the rest. And I mean, look, there is 11 races in 16 weeks or something like that at the end of the season, so it's not like we'll be short for content ideas. So just doing the right thing sensibly for a change. Red Raven says, I'm here for waffle. If you think you have the self-discipline, and that's the problem, to actually end the Q streams quickly enough, then it's worth a shot. I think what would probably happen is the streams would become naturally shorter, because there'll come a point where we'll get on to talk about quality in a second, but just to clarify this, I think there'll come a point where I'll realise that I'm repeating myself. I'm repeating what I say on a Saturday, on a Sunday, then repeating it again in the reaction. So what will end up happening is I'll just naturally draw them to a close. So it'd be nice to get, I know some of you love things like the testing streams where we're live for 8 hours a day, or a good 2-hour stream. It would be nice if we do more streams across a weekend to get them down to closer to 90 minutes over time. But I think I've been trying to get streams down to 90 minutes for about 8 years. And thus far it hasn't worked. So there you go. It's because you guys are just so much fun to talk to. I can't help it. I've got very few people in my life want to talk about F1, so I have to come and annoy you all across a race weekend. But we'll see. There's nothing guaranteed. Just working things out. Papa Stroll isn't sponsoring anymore, and that's the problem. If you were still sending me those checks to write positive things about Lance Stroll, or to say positive things about him, then absolutely, I'd be banking that money quite happily. But he's not doing it anymore, so. We'll do what we always do. We'll talk. If you've got any questions about F1 in general, slap them in the chat. I'll read them. I'll read your comments as well. We'll do some predictions before quali, and again just before Q3. See if anyone changes their mind. We've got quite a lot of penalties to bear in mind this weekend. Now, I did have, and I've obviously not got it anymore because I'm stupid. I did have a tab open with what the penalties were on here, so we're going to have to go find them again now. I know Lando Norris has taken a 10 place grid drop because of his he's taken some part. I tried to just I definitely had it open, and then I went, and there we go, I found it in the end. It's all good. So we'll start with Isack Hadjar. He will be taking a penalty. He's taken a new internal combustion engine, turbocharger and exhaust, so he's going to start from the back of the grid, unless of course the team decide they're going to pull him into the pit lane and make some changes to setup or anything like that. So that's maybe why Hadjar hasn't been, he was 10th place in FP3, so maybe focused more on race pace than one lap pace. It makes sense, because wherever he starts, he will be starting last. Lando Norris took a 4th battery this weekend. He's going to get a 10 place grid penalty. Lance Stroll has done the same, so he will get a 10 place grid penalty. And Fernando Alonso has taken a new MGUK, and so he will take a penalty as well. Hang on a second. Have I read that right? No, sorry. Stroll has the MGUK. I apologise. He has the MGUK. And Fernando Alonso will drop to the back as well, because he's taken all his new engine components too. So bear that in mind. So if you're seeing Stroll and Alonso not going very quickly, lol. It's the truth is they're just not bothering with one lap pace. They've got more for the race, obviously. But specifically, really about Lando Norris, qualified P1, starts 11th, 2nd, 12th, etc. Isack Hadjar can qualify where he can qualify anywhere he wants. He can qualify for next weekend and still start last today or tomorrow. So I wouldn't be surprised if Red Bull pull him out and maybe take some more. They can't do that with the rules these days, can they? But maybe make some big setup changes if they need to. But I'd imagine they've already worked on that anyway. So we'll see. That is the penalty list at the moment, as I'm sure you've heard on Sky and everywhere else this weekend on what you read. Wherever you get your information from. If you're going to take engine penalties, the best place, or one of the best places to do it, is Spa, because you can overtake. You're not going to do it at Hungary. Very difficult to overtake. And of course, the Netherlands, Zandvoort, very, very difficult to pass, even more so than Hungary. And we don't know anything about the Mad Ring, so it's not worth it there. So it just makes sense to do it this weekend. So good call, I think. But now I think we're waiting until Monza before anybody takes any more. Who remembers that year, Monza? Everyone took grid penalties about 3 drivers, and we just had the most ridiculous post-quali shuffle I think we've ever bloody seen. Hey, Sean. Guys here, says Hillbilly Reefer. Says, have a great day. Have a great Go Fast day. Thank you for the content. You're very welcome, mate. Thank you for your support. Enjoy quali. It's Go Fast Day is what we should call it. It's a great one, isn't it? Really, really love that one. I do enjoy the race for Spa. It's one of those, though, it's important to remember people like me, and I'm sure many of you in chat, our love for Spa maybe fogs our objective opinion of how good a race is here. They can be a little bit flat, but at least, you know, it's going to be good fun. Also important to note, pole not really that important here. I mean, it's important in that you want to be the first car on the grid, but if you're starting second or third, you're getting a lovely run through Eau Rouge and Raidillon, down the Kemmel straight into Les Combes, and you've got a great chance of leading by the time you get down there. So in some ways, second or third place isn't the worst, but I feel like Mexico's a bit like that, isn't it? But first place isn't necessarily the be-all and end-all in Spa. And you can win from just about anywhere apart from fourth place according to Crofty, but there you go. All of these penalties for changing engines, etc. is for the birds. I remember when they had quali engines, lol, says Kevin. Yes. I remember when we were getting through several engines a weekend, Kevin. I'm sure you do as well. It was, I think we can agree, from a sustainability point of view, we're not talking the environment, I'm talking about financially for the sport. Having all those new engines was kind of crazy, but then it went for 70 years, well, 50 years, let's say, doing that before anything was really done about it, and it survived. So yeah. Now to see what people really have, says Eddie. Hey Eddie, yep, absolutely. Q1 not done yet, RC. No, that's the times from practice 3, just for anyone who wants to read them. It fills that box quite nicely as well. So that was the year Stroll ended up second on the grid. Yes, John T. Yeah, it was. I feel like it was Hamilton pole and Stroll second. Is what my head's telling me anyway, but my head's weird. It could be completely wrong. Quali engines were effectively bombs designed to detonate slowly enough that they last the Q session. I am glad that's no longer a thing, says Red Raven. And I do miss the proper engine blow-ups, though. I will say that. I do miss seeing lots of smoke and flames and all the drama that came with that. But yeah, you're right. It was a bit ridiculous in the end. John says the irony being that back when they were taking 3 engines a weekend with special quality engines, it was still cheaper. Yeah, I do. We're not going to get into rule talk too much, but I do hope we do shift towards a normally aspirated V8 for 2030 or 2031. Not because I'm anti-hybrid, just because I think there are other areas in the sport that could be focused on if they want to hit their net zero targets. I don't think 20 or 22 F1 cars going round a few hours, 24 weekends a year is really the biggest issue. I think your freight, your lorries and things like that, they're the things that need to be worked on if you want to make it more sustainable. I'm not sure the cars necessarily need to be that. I also don't buy the road relevance thing. I don't think F1's been road relevant for ever, really. I'm sure someone will come up with an example, but it's been a long time, so don't buy that one. And if we can have a cheaper engine that enables, as Mohammed Ben Sulayem is pushing for, someone like a Cosworth, not necessarily Cosworth, but like a Cosworth, who can build an independent engine for teams like Williams or whoever to buy, I don't see why we can't go down that route if it's cheaper and they can do it on a sustainable fuel, so they can at least feel like they're doing something to save the world, when in reality, let's not get in sustainable fuels. The calendar definitely needs improvement in that. I'm going to say it again. Are you ready? I don't understand why we go Vegas, Qatar, Abu Dhabi back to back to back, and why we don't do Mexico and the US together and then do Brazil and Vegas together. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a meteorologist. I can't ever say that word. I'm not going to try anymore. I don't know weather. So I don't see why we can't shove Miami and Canada together. There might be a great reason for it that someone will tell me climate-wise, but I'm not convinced that we couldn't find a way around it. But yeah, there's lots of things that could be improved around F1 without worrying about the engines. But I think that's kind of the consensus that a lot of people within the sport are starting to come to now. Also, super quickly, we might touch on this tomorrow in a race reaction. It may be something to discuss at a later date. James Val said yesterday there are some aero changes that nobody seems to have heard about, and I hadn't heard about. So I went and checked the regulations for next year because I have absolutely no life. And I went and read through the 2027 regs, and there is a lot of pink on there, which is what they put on there when they're making changes for that year's regs. And there's a lot of stuff on there around the bib, the rear wing, the floor. So definitely if you've got no life and you want to spend a few minutes depressing yourself or whatever, go and read those, because there's a lot in there for next year. So there's going to be a bigger upheaval next year than this scaling changes to the engines that we've been told about. So well worth bearing that in mind for next season. So we might see some shifts. You know, teams like Williams or Aston Martin might get a B-spec car out and then use that as the baseline. I think was James Vowell's point for next year. So definitely go and the race made a video apparently, so go check that out on the race as well. I won't make videos on technical things. I made one really good technical video on the 2025 Ferrari, and that was entirely written by Matthew Summerfield, because I had no idea, and he had to talk me through what everything was. I'm not very good on that kind of thing. I very much love the history, the racing itself, the speculation. I'm not a tech guy, so I'll always point you towards the race because they know what they're doing. Right then, so the music has just finished, so we are ready to go for quali, so let's get everything set up. As always, there is no on-track footage for obvious copyright reasons, but I do have live timing on screen provided by the awesome people over at Multiviewer for F1. So as always, thank you so much to those guys for allowing me to use these in the streams. Link in the description if you want to download the app. The app itself is free, but you will need an F1 TV subscription of any kind. So F1 TV access is fine, or if you've got Pro, use that as well, so you can customize your streams with as much or as little data as you would like. As always, it's not sponsored. They don't ask me to say that. I just feel like if someone puts this effort into an app and they let me use it, I need to give them a really good shout out. So go and check them out. I think most of you already do. In fact, most F1 people do actually. Yeah. They will be using this. It's a great bit of kit, so thank you as always, was my overarching point there. So there we go. We have got the track map, we have got the timing, and I am so ready for this one. This is going to be great fun. Red Raven says probably the guys editing using pink in dark mode. Yes, I use dark mode for it. That's maybe why it's pink for me. I don't know, but yeah, definitely. Maybe unreadable on white. Yeah, it's good. It's good for dark mode though. But yeah, it's there's a lot on there. Well worth a look, and it sort of changes the opinion of next year. We might see a shuffle of the pack again. It also raises questions, and we'll not get into it properly again. But the PR machine has been. I'll say to John, yesterday, I said it on Blue Sky as well. The PR machine has been pumping out all season that the rules are good. You know, they're a great place to be, and the racing's great, and people love it, and it's wonderful, which is why we're getting such huge changes for next year, and then changes again for 2028, and then we're changing again in 2030/2031, because they're just universally loved. Anyway, let's not get into it again. We are just a few minutes away from quite about 2 minutes away now, so well up for this one. Red Raven says, I will ignore the rule book just like everyone else in F1 does. Yes, ignore the rule book. What is it Martin Brundle? Martin Brundle says something like they read the rule book, engineers and designers read the rule book once to understand what the rules are, then read it again to work out how they can get around them, something like that. So I kind of like that. I kind of like that about F1. It's why I'm a little bit, I think it came across in the preview, I think I made that clear, a little bit miffed at this talk of potentially banning the Macarena wing if the FIA decide it's unsafe, when you consider that Ferrari have had, what was it, Fred Vasseur said they've driven 10,000 kilometres and not had a single issue with it, and just because one team, Red Bull, is having problems, there is conversations around potentially banning it. I don't know if they will ban it, that is all speculation, but it just annoys me. We've got this really clever innovation and we're talking about getting rid of it because one team got it wrong, when one team has had no issues at all. You know, if a team can't run it safely, they shouldn't run it at all. But if other teams can, then what's the problem? But I was the same with DAS. I had no problem with DAS. I had no problem with a lot of innovations. Just don't stick a small wing on your nose of your car. Not generally. You know, you put a wing there if you want. It's up to you. But you know, just stupid innovations like that, no. But clever ones that give you an advantage and a part of the sport, I don't see the point in getting rid of that. It's supposed to be the pinnacle of motorsport. So what's the problem? Basically, yeah, that's a good one. They read it once to see what it says. They read it the second time to see what it doesn't say. Yeah, exactly. Oh, it doesn't say we can't put something there. See, I like dark mode. I've got dark mode. I know when you came to stay for the weekend, John, you were horrified that I had dark mode on Twitter. It's just me. I like dark mode. We are go for qualifying in Belgium, the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, of course, one of the best in the world anywhere. Love this track, love these cars. The crash on Lewis Hamilton this morning, or Lewis Hamilton's crash this morning, was very similar to Pierre Gasly's crash, by the way. I forgot to mention this. And I think it's a good demonstration of, yeah, all right, Lewis got onto a dirty part of the track and that didn't help. But I think it's a good example of just how difficult these cars are to drive. And I kind of love that. To look at, these cars are fantastic and I love them. So they've got that right, which is great. But how many... wing on the nose is probably a breach of those idiotic body jewelry rules. Says Red Raven. Yeah. The whole jewelry thing and the underwear thing, I get what MBS was getting at, but that always came across as a man who was very unhappy with the opinion of around the FIA following that race, and it was also very much a man who was determined to come in and make it look like he was stamping his authority, and all he had was fireproof underwear and no studs. And it was like, all right, mate, calm down. There are much bigger problems in the sport than somebody wearing a nose stud. But I understand why the rules are there. But yeah, that was all a storm in a teacup, which was just a man trying to stamp his authority on something, I think. For those keeping track, by the way, there was NFA on Sainz's lockup into the double yellows. No further action. Thank you very much, Fud. Sorry, it took me a minute to work out what the NFA was then. Like some kind of new sport. Sounds great. We have got Stroll, Bottas and Perez out on track, by the way, but the cameras haven't picked them up yet because, I mean, it's Stroll, Perez and Bottas, so we're not expecting top times here. But it would be nice if when we've got cars on track, we could look at the cars on track, even if they're just on an out lap rather than staring into the garage at... different drivers, in my opinion. Maybe I'm the only one there. While we're waiting to get going properly, though, please do drop a like on the stream if you haven't already, and subscribe if you are new. Live, definitely live for the race reaction tomorrow, possibly for a pre-race stream tomorrow, but I might hang off and just see what everybody else is saying regarding whether they're interested in that. Let me know in the comments if you're watching later. Let me know if that's something you're interested in, and maybe trial it for Hungary. But I'm also, if I'm being honest, I'm also not quite ready. I've not got all my stuff sorted for the stream. I haven't really decided how the format will be. I haven't got a thumbnail template in place. There's quite a lot to do, and I've got stuff to do this evening, and not going out right. I don't have a life, but stuff to do. So it may be Hungary, but if I can for tomorrow, you'll see it pop up as a scheduled stream. If not, I'll see if the race reaction with Jonty, I believe. I think we agreed, didn't we? I'm sorry, mate. We discussed it yesterday, and I forget things, but I think it is Jonty tomorrow. So, yeah, 2 more races before the summer break. Just waiting for cars at the minute, but I'd said it in the preview, am I the only one who feels like this season has simultaneously dragged and flown by? That cancellation of Bahrain and the postponement of Saudi Arabia and Bahrain really threw me off this season. Then we had that gap between Miami and Canada, which didn't help either. So I just do not feel like we've hit. It's only this last few weeks that I felt like we're starting to get into a rhythm, and now we're going to stop again for the summer. So it really feels like it's dragged, but I also can't believe that the summer break, well, we end after Hungary for a few weeks, but the summer break isn't long after that. So yes, Red Raven, that's a good point. The whole year in general, yeah. No, I get that. Usually we get to July and I'd be like, I only feel like I've just finished washing up from Christmas, whereas I don't quite feel that this year. So yeah, has been a weird year. Not sure why, but I mean, I had a crap winter, didn't I? Let's be honest, but that's probably part of it, the reason why. Also a little bit of a behind the scenes insight. I've not thought about the F1 word really for a good few weeks now, maybe even a couple of months. When I did the preview on Tuesday, as Perez is a 49.3 to go fastest, Bottas a 50 flat really. On Tuesday when I recorded the preview, I had to do 2 retakes of the intro because both times I said, hey guys, Sean here and welcome to the F1 word. The hell is that about? Just somewhere back in there, it just did it twice and I had to redo it because I'm stupid, but there you go. Just a bit of insight there. We're waiting for these cars to fly round and get some laps on The board, it's because we've had so many breaks between races. Yeah, it was that. Like I say, the 5 weeks between Japan and Miami, the necessary 5 weeks. I don't think many people disagree with those being suspended or postponed, whatever. But then you had the gap after Miami before Canada, which didn't help. So you had like one race in 8 weeks or something. And it was just, so difficult. So difficult. All right, John C. I'm not going to read that. On a more positive note, what would a Formula Sean look like? I'd say use some cheap Opals and give them. So Opals are Vauxhalls, aren't they? We call them Vauxhalls over here. So I've always had Vauxhalls. All my cars have been Vauxhalls. Corsa, Astra Sport Hatch, Corsa, Astra Sport Hatch, Corsa. How weird's that? I didn't even realise I'd done that. I flipped between the two. So yeah, probably you're probably right with that one, to be fair. Or a slower Aston Martin. Maybe, I don't know. You need a car that just sometimes goes, and then that's probably what I am. Will be about accurate, I think. Just fails randomly midway through the day. Antonelli Perp in the first sector, probably not very surprising, really. Verstappen, 3/10 slower. Russell, a 10th down his teammate. So the funny thing is, though, Russell has been off it all weekend compared to his teammate, but he might rock up and take pole today, and then we'll all go, oh, George is here. Lewis is on track. Well spotted, Hillbilly Reefer. Thank you, mate. He is on track, so all sorted with the car. Interesting to see what that... I mean, you'd like to think they've got like-for-like parts and sort of almost a template to follow for what they need for him. Hopefully it doesn't hamper him too much, because he's not driven a lot of those parts this weekend. So Verstappen, unsurprisingly, 2.7 seconds quicker than Perez in purple in the middle sector. 2.4 seconds for Antonelli up. So Verstappen quicker in the middle sector. Gasly goes fastest for now on a 1:47.539. Now we're waiting to see as Max Verstappen comes through the final corner. Over the line goes Max on a 1:45.9, 1.6 quicker than Gasly. Here comes Antonelli, though. Is this going to be a Verstappen-Antonelli fight? Would be fun this weekend, wouldn't it? There goes Kimi over the line. A little bit slower. Nearly 4/10 slower than Max Verstappen. All in the middle sector. 6/10 difference in the middle sector. So is that Red Bull running a bit more downforce? Did Kimi make a mistake? I mean, George did a 47.3, Max did a 46.6. So that middle sector all about downforce, and Red Bull looking good in there. So Lindblad goes second with a fantastic lap. Only 2.5 tenths off Max Verstappen. That's a cracking lap from Arvid Lindblad as Sainz goes up into 5th place. We're going to see these first runs through before they all go back in the garage for new tyres. Albon goes 8th. And here comes Charles Leclerc as Liam Lawson moves up into 5th place on a 46.501. Leclerc around that final corner. Over the line he goes, and it's a 1:46.3. 4.5 tenths off Max Verstappen. Bortoletto goes 7th. Pascal, Bortoletto's gone 7th, mate. Good lap. They might be in a top 10 shootout. We've got a little way to go before we just start worrying about that as Hulkenberg hits P11. Lewis Hamilton's through the final chicane that is and isn't the bus stop chicane. I don't know what we call it these days. I'd still call it the bus stop, but I don't think it is. Only 7th for Hamilton. 1,000th slower than Lawson. What's Hadjar going to do? Again, don't worry too much about lap times for Hadjar. He's starting last, whatever happens, but he goes second. A 10th off Max Verstappen. 46.6. So again, it's the middle sector for the Red Bulls. 46.6 for Hadjar. Pretty much the same as Max's fastest. Few hundred slower. Norris good in the middle sector. He's gone purple through there as well. So yeah, and Norris goes fastest. That's a surprise. Wasn't expecting that. There was P2 in FP3, so maybe not totally shocking, but I wasn't expecting McLaren to be in the mix this weekend as Norris goes quickest for now. But he has got a 10-second penalty. A 10-place grid drop. 10-place grid drop, not a 10-second penalty. It's been nice as a Mariners fan because there's always been sport for me to watch. American football, hockey, the World Cup. This next month is only F1, and that sucks. Yeah, I've not really got into the World Cup properly like I did. It's been a while since I've been into it like I was this year. So, yeah, I'm going to miss the World Cup. Not some of the BS that's gone on around it, but I will miss the World Cup itself. The football has been great. Although it would have been nice, wouldn't it, if France had turned up on Tuesday. But if Spain win tomorrow, I win 50 quid, or we win 50 quid. So, all in for Spain, purely for the financial reasons, of course. No other reason to back Spain. Although I do look like Lamine Yamal, but, you know, let's not talk football. No, I'm not watching the game tonight. Quite frankly, excuse my language, I couldn't give a flying flamingo. I'll go flamingo instead of the other word. Who finishes third in the World Cup? The teams don't care. The countries don't care. There's still tickets to sell. Why bother? Just give third place to the team with the best goal difference over the tournament. There you go. Problem solved. Why waste everyone's time? But there you go. Not interested, so I won't watch it. Not bothered. I am German and prefer to keep my mouth shut about the World Cup. Jurgen Klopp, please save us, says Red Raven. Yeah, it's not going to happen, but Pep Guardiola to England, and then we'll have an England-Germany Klopp v Guardiola World Cup final in 4 years. That'd be pretty special, wouldn't it, Red Raven? We might have to do a live stream for that just so that me and you could banter in chat. Never going to happen, but it would be pretty cool. Reignite two rivalries there. But yeah, let's. I'm not going to talk too much about football because I did that the other weekend and probably peed a few people off, but nobody said anything. But you're always quite conscious. Although I will stress again, although this says qualify watch on the channel, doesn't say F1 Sean, it says Formula Sean. So if I want to talk about Fallout, then I will do. How exciting was that news yesterday? Maybe I will get some more Fallout games before I die. It was a touch and go, but yeah. So we had the first runs, just Stroll coming back round now to, I assume, box, unless he's going to go in the gap, as I like to say. I think he's going to pit. He is in the pits, yeah. So currently Norris fastest, 45.865. 600ths quicker than Max Verstappen. Hadjar third, only a tenth of just over a tenth of his teammate. That's really decent. Not as decent as Arvid Lindblad there. 3/10 of the fastest time in P4. Kimi Antonelli fifth, Leclerc sixth, and Russell seventh, half a second covering, or just over half a second covering the top seven. Piastri in P8, Lawson ninth, Hamilton 10th. Repairs on that car after that crash, of course, this morning. So could be a factor. Maybe making excuses for Ferrari again. We'll see. Bortoletto P11, Sainz 12th, Gasly 13th, Bearman 14th, Hulkenberg 15th, and Albon 16th. At the moment, we are losing Colapinto, Ocon, Perez, Bottas, Alonso, and Stroll. I will get the remaster, Jonty, when it's done. I've tried to play Fallout 3, but I can't. I always struggle to go back on games. So when you play a game late in the franchise, like a Fallout 4, when you then go back to Fallout 3, the story might be the best thing in the world, but the mechanics I can't get on with. So I'm hoping that it's a bit like the Oblivion, was it, remaster they did, and it's a really good remaster of 3, and I might even try New Vegas, although I think that's massively overhyped from what I've seen of it. But I will do when the remasters come out in 30 years, and then I'll play Fallout 5 in 60 years when I'm dead, probably. But yeah, or unalive, I should say that, really, shouldn't I? But yeah, a bit of a surprise to Lando P1. Nice lap, says Jamie, absolutely. What did it translate to? So it translated nice lap, Lando, to nice lap, Lando. Maybe you thought you meant a different lap, Jamie. I don't know. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. But yeah, not bad at all. What was I keep forgetting. I always check this before the stream. Every time, and then I forget when I go live. Let's have a look for the poll time from last year. I'll get my graphic out from thingy. Poll time last year was a 140.562, so we are way off that at the moment. Not a massive surprise given the regulation change and the way the power units work, but yeah. I think, to answer Hillbilly Reefer's question, says, do they get into the upper 144s? I think lower 145s. I'd be surprised to see a 44. That was last year's fastest lap, by the way, in the race. So, yeah. Sad Mariners fan says, gap from 1st to 13th is the same as a gap between Cadillac and Aston. Oh my God, yeah. little, almost. Gap from first to 13th is 1.6. Gap from Cadillac to Aston is 1.5. But still, I mean, that is still pretty embarrassing, isn't it? 5.2 seconds on the pace. Lance Stroll. Here goes Kimi Antonelli. 2 minutes and 45 to go. And we are getting the final runs now. Norris, Verstappen and Hadjar all staying in the pits. You think they're okay there? I mean, I don't want to jinx him. I think Lindblad's probably okay in fourth, but they're going again. See what the track evolution here isn't massive. It is a track that's relatively well used. So moderate track evo usually. But yeah. It's 2.5 tenths up on Norris's Antonelli, but not purple. It's all in this. I'm going to watch this middle sector for Antonelli. We are on board, which is nice. I suspect we'll see a lot of on-boards this weekend through the middle sector and not quite so much in the first and final sector. You know what I'm saying. You know exactly what I'm saying. We're coming through now. Oh, he always get his poo on, isn't it? Yeah. Poo on. Through turn 12, if you prefer your corner numbers. Tracks like Spa, I think you've got to use the corner names because you don't often get to. It gets a bit boring saying turn 1, 2, 3, doesn't it, all the time? But Russell personal best in the first sector, Sainz as well, so they're both improving. Antonelli is 7.5 tenths down in the middle sector over Norris, but in his defense, I suppose, he is on used soft tyres. Lindblad, Antonelli, Leclerc, Russell, Piastri, Lawson, Hamilton, all on used tyres. So they're trying to save a set. You would expect pretty much everyone from Hamilton up to be through. Well, it's really tighter in that midfield than I thought, to be fair. Yeah. So, I mean, Antonelli improved in the final sector. That was it. As Russell goes fourth. Bottas goes 18th. Sorry, Perez now 19th. So they are out. Whatever happens, I think they're pretty much going to end up 19th and 20th in quali. Of course, they'll make up a couple of places with penalties. So, one place because they're going to be ahead of the Astons, aren't they? So they could end up a little bit higher, but not much. 35 seconds to go. Ocon, he's out. He's only just got to 18th place. Bearman, he moves up into 13th place. Here comes Charles Leclerc. Not desperate for a lap, but he'll want to improve a little bit and does indeed. Goes 6th. Ahead of, I'd say, Alonso's improving, but still ends up 21st. 2 seconds off Perez. Albon goes 14th. That's a good lap from Albon to get himself through with Carlos Sainz as it stands. Nico Hülkenberg needs this lap to stick. We're getting ready for the checkered flag here with 5 seconds to go. And there is Piastri over the line. Doesn't improve massively, or at all, actually, as it was. Hülkenberg goes 12th. There is the checkered flag. Lewis Hamilton is coming through. He should be okay anyway, but he does improve to go P4. And then we've got Gasly and the second Alpine just behind him as well. So there is Gasly. Purple final sector from Gasly. Moves up to 12th place. Here's his teammate over the line. He goes 13th and he's through as well. So unless Stroll does something incredible here, which he does not, shocks I know, we have lost Alex Albon. Unfortunately, just lost Alex Albon by 7,000ths of a second. Ocon 18th, Bottas 19th, Perez 20th, Alonso 21st, Stroll 22nd. No great surprise in that bottom four. 2 points to make though. First of all, Fernando Alonso 2 seconds slower than Perez. So again, 2 seconds between the fastest Aston and the slowest Cadillac. What's also alarming for Esteban Ocon, unless he had an issue on his lap, he is nearly 7 tenths slower than his teammate in 16th. Yeah. I will always find a way to defend Esteban Ocon. Even I can't defend that. He's got a Spider-Man helmet though, so that's quite cool. So we can have that one. But yeah, not great. 7 tenths. Bearman a 147.1, Ocon a 147.8. He was just on his radio there talking about something. Didn't quite catch that, so let me know. But yeah, Ocon again only 200th clear of, as Jonty says, the Cadillac of Bottas. So not good, but good for Bottas. So out qualifying Perez. So that's the battle at Cadillac. But I think, look, yes, all right. Aston are bloody awful, but I think Cadillac could be very happy with this first half of the season. Doesn't sound very exciting, does it? 19th and 20th, out qualifying and out racing consistently both of the Aston Martins, but they're a brand new team built from scratch. Aston Martin is a team that's been around in multiple guises since it was Jordan. It's got Adrian Newey there. It's got a double world champion, and it's terrible. So I think Cadillac can be very, very happy. Very, very happy. I'm hoping there's something we haven't seen on Ocon, because that's Neelish making a point now in chat. That's you. Unless you have a reason that's happened, a mechanical problem or some traffic or a mistake, you're gonna find it very difficult to sit down and defend that to your team, aren't you? 18th. Oh well, never mind. My teammate's only 16th. Yes, Esteban, but there is 0.7 of a second between you. I'm not going to slam. I'm not going to slam Esteban. I will criticise him when he performs badly, which is what I'm doing. But I'm not going to join the club of. Oh, it's just not me. It's not my style at all. With penalty, Stroll qualifies 20th, Alonso 22nd, Hadjar 21st. It's. I'll go back to what I've said before. If you take an engine penalty and you qualify closer to the back of the grid than the penalty is. So if you qualify 21st and you've got a 10-place penalty, you shouldn't drop to 22nd. I think you should go to the pit lane, because that's not really a penalty. But then some would argue that driving an Aston Martin at the moment is a penalty in itself. So maybe that's the last thing you need, is to wind Alonso up more. But it seems ridiculous that you can qualify 21st, get a 40-place grid penalty, and start 1 place back. So yeah, I'd like to see that change, but I don't think. But the risk then is that you get to somewhere like Monza and you end up with 12 cars in the pit lane, I suppose. But it seems so promising for Aston. Says that surprises no during Alonso's first year. Yes. Do you remember Alonso could, and some probably would argue should, have won the Monaco Grand Prix that year? Look how the mighty have fallen, pointing at Aston Martin. I'm not pointing at Fernando. Not convinced he's the problem at all, but yeah. Or do it over to do you know what, Craig? I get that, but what really used to annoy me was that we'd have races where you get penalties carrying over and you were being punished every weekend. If you were like McLaren Honda, poor stuff, his penalties would last all season. So I get that. But I think dropping to the pit lane and being punished on the weekend where you've taken the penalty it seems fairer. But I don't actually think there's a fair way to do it. Lando Norris today could qualify first and will lose 10 places and end up 11th, whereas Alonso's going to drop to 1 place. So, in fact, he doesn't drop 1 place, does he? Because Hadjar go behind him. So actually, Alonso stays where he is. Is that right? Because Hadjar's got the most penalties. He will start last. That's been confirmed. So Alonso would take his penalty, then Hadjar takes his. So Alonso still starts 21st. Unless I'm missing somebody in there. But yeah, it's weird. But whichever. It's not. It's a bit like the safety car rule that we discussed after Silverstone. It doesn't really matter. And I don't think there'll be a change. And I don't think there needs to be a change. It's just a pet peeve more than anything. So... No, I think Fud. I'll double check, mate. But I'm pretty sure Hadjar starts last, whatever happens. Let me have a look. I did have a race article, but here we go. Isack, Hadjar, and Aston Martin drivers Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll will both take grid penalties. Hadjar has taken a new ICE turbocharger exhaust, meaning his penalty is the most severe of the drivers in Spa so far, as he'll start from the back of the grid. So he'll start from the back of the grid, unless the team elects to start from the pit lane. So I think he will start from last, whatever. But I might be wrong. Don't quote me. I quote the race because I've just quoted the race. Yeah, it's 20th, 21st, 22nd, 19th. Doesn't matter. They're still going to probably not finish or trundle around. I mean, don't forget that we had the safety car last weekend or last race. Lap cars were allowed to overtake, and Aston Martin was still both a lap down. So it doesn't really matter whether they start 21st or in the pit lane, does it? So, yeah. Stoff having a 90-place grid penalty was hilarious, though. Yeah. Off we go for Q2. Ready for this one. Now we're going to find out who's in that top 10 shootout as we build up for pole, really, I suppose. But I thought Antonelli coming into this one, but all of a sudden Norris has turned up and Red Bull looked mighty as well. But yeah, to your point, Sad Mariners fan, the 90-place grid penalty was quite funny. I don't know about what was. I mean, not Jensen Button. Fernando Alonso had his penalties that year as well, but Stoff certainly bore the brunt, didn't he? Which, as much as I love Stoff, and I think he was massively underrated. Didn't perform, to be fair, but as a driver, I think he's still quite underrated. But biased, I suppose. But if you've got a double world champion in your team, you're always going to lean more towards them than Stoffel Van Dorn. But not impressed. Not impressed. We're waiting for cars to go out. While we're watching this, I'll go back to another point I always like to whine about every other weekend. FP3 needs to be shortened. If teams are quite happy to sit in the pits for 15 minutes and do nothing, they don't need that 15 minutes. So let's cut that down, or get rid of FP. I'd get rid of FP3 altogether. I've said that for years. It feels like the most pointless session of the weekend. I'm sure it isn't from a team's point of view, but yeah. I do need better drugs, definitely. What are you offering, Craig? 70 is the highest for Jensen in Mexico. Stoff and Alonso got a combined 115 in Spa or Monza, though. Nearly says McLaren Honda, Aston Honda, Toothpaste Williams, Box Nose Haas, etc. I think the reason why they haven't changed is that most cars in that situation were going to be near last anyway. That's to add to that. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Good point. I mean, it doesn't need changing, but it's just something I moan about. But the Toothpaste Williams. Who knows a Toothpaste Williams? The wonderful rocket livery that we never saw because they seemed about as dodgy as Rich Energy at the time. I don't know what they're like now, but yeah. Yeah, FP3 is an hour, Jamie, so I dropped that to... I just dropped the session. I think as the calendar expands, I think there's a serious conversation needs to be had around, especially with sprint races turning up, condensing weekends into 2 days. But how do you do that with a sprint? Can't really do that, can you? So, yeah, I just don't see the point in FP3, or just do half an hour, like you used to with Sunday warm up. Was it an hour or half an hour? It used to be an hour, didn't it, for the Sunday warm up? I can't remember now, but yeah. Yeah, the problem with the Toothpaste Williams, as I recall, John, as we wait for these drivers to do their outlaps, was that it never raced, but it was the only B-roll Williams released that year. So when you're making videos, you were using a livery on a car that was never raced to talk about the current Williams, and it was like, this is annoying. Can we have something new? Yeah. Jay Webb says, sure, mate, there has been a serious lack of wet weather racing this season. Yeah, we'll look at the weather in a bit as well for tomorrow, but I think it's supposed to be dry. Yeah, and then even when it rains, the race is moved or we don't start or whatever. Yeah, definitely. But we have that. Some seasons it feels like it's a wet race every weekend or every other weekend. This season we've not had much at all, have we? So... you just needed to make sure the drivers are dialed in for quality, says Jamie. Yeah, but also they should be dialed in by that point anyway, in my opinion. Thank you to Golf Balls, member for 4 months. Thanks for your support as always, mate. He says, I think there's no excuse. Don't forget that in 1998, Aston Martin got a 1-2 here. They did. Yes, I was going, you're talking rubbish, mate, but then I realised what you were saying. Yes, no, they did. Yeah, won at Monza and Manly Core the following year, didn't they? With Heinz Harald Frentzen. So great strategy. That French Grand Prix 1999, if you haven't seen it. Great shout from Jordan. Really, really great shout. Taking some feedback on board as well about possible classic race watch-ons. I've had a look at Multiviewer. They've got live timing that goes back to the entirety of the 2018 season. So we could look at some classic but more recent races for watch-alongs over the winter and whatnot. But that's a conversation for another day, because then we can use the timing from that, and it saves me having to do faffing around manual timing and not paying attention. So that'd be fun. See if Jonty wants to do some of those. He likes a classic watch along. We'll do some polls and get some races for races you want to see between 2018 and 2026 or whatever, and watch him live together, or watch him classic watch ons together. I might try and find some proper timing though for more classic races. We'll see. Here comes Russell. Antonelli's purple and purple, by the way, in the first and middle sector. 46.6 is a better middle sector than we saw. In fact, that's on par with what Red Bull and Lando Norris did. So that's better for Antonelli. A 145.1. I think. Do you know what? Whoever suggested going to the high 44s, you might be right. That's a 45.1 already. So we're still 5 seconds off last year's pole time, but that's much better. But George Russell, half a second off his teammates. Kimi getting it right in that middle sector, and it absolutely has given him a pretty big lead. But Max Verstappen has just gone through the middle sector on a 46.2, 4/10 quicker. So it's still that middle sector. So they've gained time as it rubbers in. But yeah, here comes Hadjar over the line and goes third on a 45.8. Watching Max Verstappen now. This one's keep it on. He goes second. Still half a second off though. So where's the time loss? Sorry to everyone else who's on track and watching. I'm looking for the time loss here. So 3/10 in the final sector and half a second in the first sector. So all of that pace for Max in the middle sector is completely lost in the first sector alone. That's really interesting. Lindblad again rapid, moves to within 400ths of Max Verstappen. Here comes Liam Lawson. Love Liam Lawson. Over the line he goes, P8. Not another one of those jumping on the bandwagon for Liam Lawson, by the way. I have been screaming about that kid for years on the other channel. And people going, oh, well, if he was so good, why is he not in F1 yet? And then, ta-da! Anyway, Leclerc goes second, 2.5 tenths off Antonelli. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. He goes fourth, better from Ferrari, 45.5, 4 tenths off. So better from Ferrari. Norris still up there, but Kimi Antonelli hath arrived. That's, yeah. Russell's 8th. On a new set of tyres. So Hulkenberg, Sainz and Bearman have all run used tyres. So you would expect Hulkenberg to improve from there and be on the fringes of the top 10, probably 11th. It's where he seems to end up. So George Russell is not comfortable there, but you'd like to think. Balance came together much nicer, says Antonelli. So there you go. Yeah, no, I think you're right, Hillbilly Reefer. I think the 44 that you mentioned, was it you that mentioned it earlier? I think you might be right. I thought low 45s based on where we were last session, but now that we've seen that from Kimi, you'd like to think on a more rubbered in track, balls to the wall, final lap for pole, you'd take a couple of tenths off that. So I think we're going to be in the 44s, which would be close to the fastest race lap from last year, or fastest lap of the race, if you prefer, which is interesting. But still well off the pace of qualifying, which isn't, again, totally surprising. I didn't watch Goodwood this year. I missed Goodwood. I forgot about it completely. I wanted to go and I completely forgot. But yeah, there you go. That's 40 for you. Creeps up, slaps you in the face, and then you suddenly forget what your name is. Must be raining in George's helmet, says Kevin. Yeah, that's where the pace has got. I mean, that's only more than half a second off his teammate. He's 2 tenths down in the first sector, a tenth down in the middle sector, and then 3 tenths down in the final sector. I mean, that's a lot of time to find for George. He's going to have to go again. I would hazard a guess that Antonelli should be fine on a 45.1. I haven't seen what the projected knockout time is. But I think everybody else is going to have to go again behind him because they haven't got the cushion that he has. He's got a second back to Lawson in P11. So I'm sure they'll send him out and just get him on track just in case. But yeah, no. Yeah. I hope Lawson steps it up. The grid should change a bit still. Colapinto is 7 tenths down on Gazzy as well, so Rev Raven. Yeah, Lindblad very much the better of the two at the moment. Quite a gap there. But we'll see what happens in in Q3 if he gets there, but if he can get through to Q3. But yeah, I'm not. I know you're not saying this, Red Raven, to be clear, but I think there's not too much complaining to be done about Lindblad. And if each one of them has an off weekend, I'm not too worried about them. They've both had very, very strong seasons so far. Lindblad, I think, not necessarily one of the surprises of the year, but how well he's adapted and how quickly he's adapted has been quite impressive to see. And of course, he's Rookie of the Year, guaranteed. So there you go. I love how Russell went from saying that he would have 2 championships if he was in the Mercedes earlier to saying he can't paint the Mona Lisa, says at 2 left feet. Yeah, not specific to Russell, but sports people in general, they soon come back to eat their words, don't they? If I was in that car, then I would definitely be winning world championships. Oh, if I was in that Man United team, I'd be winning trebles as well. And it turns out that maybe not. It's not as simple as people think. Neely says, as a Lindblad fan, the gap to Lawson isn't representative at all today. It's not representative of the rest of the season at all. It's like I say, if Lawson has a bad weekend or Lindblad does, I'm not going to jump on them like some might in the industry. They've both done enough, I think, with albeit 12 races still to go. We're not even quite at the halfway point yet. I think they've both done enough, and if they can maintain that for the next few races, I think they've done enough to remain in the sport next year with their team. I know they're quite keen to get Solov in there, but I don't think a year on the sidelines as a reserve driver, maybe go racing in Super Formula if they fancy that. I don't think that's a bad idea. As Lewis Hamilton gets out of the car, I assume for a comfort break, let's put it that way. He needs to pee. But 46 should be. He got 6/10, hasn't he? Back to Bortoleto and Lawson, so he should be okay. But not as comfortable. In fact, actually, everyone in the top 5 apart from Leclerc has stayed in the garage, so they're obviously comfortable. Lindblad is also the only car with the upgrades, says Moray. That's a good point. Yeah. So, which by the way, is a massive positive for Lawson as well, to see his teammate with the upgrade or the updated car. It's working well and it's quick. And I mean, he's only half a second off the pole time in a Racing Bulls, or the provisional pole time, if we're calling it that, in a Racing Bull. So impressive stuff. Maury also says, I'm guessing George is a solid 10 kilos heavier than Kimi based on his height. Given how energy starved these cars are, could that explain the gap? 45.8, by the way, is a cut-off. So yeah, they're fine at the front. You're looking at Hadjar down, but Russell won't be comfortable. Neither will Piastri or Lindblad. But possibly, yeah, it's an explanation. It is also possible that Antonelli, I still think very early days to be making this claim in his career, so I'm not saying it outright. Just in a few years, we might look back at him as a generational talent, and maybe that's just that George Russell isn't as good. But I think Russell's better than the social media discourse would lead you to believe. But the height thing is a very good point. It is a very good point. Do you know what, Moray? It's probably you do this all the time. There's always one of you or two of you in chat that will say something and I'll go, I need to go away and read about that. That's a really good point. So I might have to do that. I might have to. Yeah. Because, of course, with a driver, because Craig's talking about ballast there. But if you've got a driver that's heavier than another driver, you don't have control over that ballast as comfortably as you would with Antonelli. You can move that ballast on the car wherever you need to. Whereas Russell, a lot of it's going to be where he sits, and that restricts your options, unless I'm misunderstanding how ballast in F1 works, which, by the way, very possible, let's be honest. Yeah, we've got a 40... I'm going to wait for the 45 seconds to go in Q2. We've got cars on track. Hadjar improving in the first sector, 30.6, but not way down. Actually, that's a lie. It's because it's yellow, it threw me off, but... Bortoleto matching Hadjar in the first sector pretty much, so he's got a pacey lap on here. Hadjar needs this, I think. Nice through the chicane. Doesn't improve. 45.823 stays 9th. Sainz is on a good lap. Personal best and personal best. Gasly, he stays 12th. Track isn't really ramping up as I thought it might, actually. We've got track slippery in sector 15. Colapinto goes 13th. That's the checkered flag. There goes Sainz. Was improving, but stays at 15th place. Over the line goes George Russell. Doesn't improve, stays 8th, but I think he's going to be okay. Because that track didn't ramp up at all, did it? At all. We've lost, unless Liam Lawson does something, we've lost Liam Lawson, Gasly, Colapinto, Hulkenberg, Sainz and Bearman. Here comes Liam Lawson. Doesn't improve, stays P11, unfortunately, on a 146.1. The camera work. The camera down at turn 1 is struggling to pick up drivers for some reason. Messy. But yes. Was that Lawson over the line or was it Lindblad over the line? I feel like Lawson is... No, Lawson's coming now. Here we go. Stays 11th. Not far away, 400ths of a second, but will be P11, which means we have got an Audi into Q3, which is great stuff for Gabriel Bortoleto. But we have lost Liam Lawson, Pierre Gasly, Franco Colapinto, Nico Hulkenberg, Carlos Sainz, and Ollie Bearman, who have gone to get in an early bath with Albon, Ocon, Bottas, Perez, Alonso, Stroll. That is a big bath. But you get my point. Unless they're just sharing the water, I don't know. A lot of the Russell ballast is high up with the weight of his ego, says John T. I believe ballast... Gingerfest says, sorry, that's really tickled me. I believe ballast added to meet minimum driver weight has to be added to the cockpit area. Okay, fair enough. If that's the case, then I was wrong on that one. But again, that's not a massive shock, is it, when it comes to technical stuff? Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. I don't know why that tickled me, John T. That really did. Just quite funny. Yeah. I just don't think Russell is mentally tough enough to be a champion, says Hillbilly Reefer. Yeah. I don't know what to say. I don't... I've put the wire down here and it's really annoying me. I'm not going to do it again because it's uncomfortable, sorry. Random, I know. But I can't say I'm George Russell's biggest fan. Start of Q3 will be delayed. They're clearing up gravel by the look of it. So, oh no, Hulkenberg stopped. Didn't see that on track. Hulkenberg has stopped. So that might have affected some final. Although no, he's quite early on in the lap, so maybe not. But yeah, he stopped on track. So that's why I've got a delay to Q3. Will be a few minutes late as they clear Hulkenberg's Audi. He stopped between, I'll say 9 and 10, but also say Les Combes and is it Brussels or is it? Most corners I know and have known all my life, but there are a couple that I always bloody forget the name of. It's got an X in it. But Anthony can put a bunch of ballast under his butt while George has to deal with his big, huge brain sitting up high, says Neelish. Still worth under a tenth of a second. We said the same about Norris not too long ago. I don't need to say this, but as always, I advise caution. I don't think I did I say about no, I said about Norris. I don't recall saying about Norris, and I think he's always been one that I've seen as a potential world champion. He is now a world champion, of course. I've not always felt the same about George, but that doesn't mean he won't be. I never thought Nico Rosberg would be a world champion, but he was and is. So Eddie Irvine, nobody thought he'd be a world champion, and he nearly nicked it in '99, didn't it? So yeah, 12's poo on, isn't it? 12 is poo on. What's 10? John T. Poo on is 10. 12, sorry. I'm looking at 8. Oh, no. The track numbers are different on my thing. I'm looking at two different things. No, you're right. You are poo on. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, John T. You have been poo on. You're correct. I'm looking at the wrong thing on the wrong map. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Sorry. The numbers changed and it's throwing me off, but it's okay. Yeah, we'll stop. I mean, I'm surprised actually farting golf balls that you're not interested in that, to be honest. Yeah, like I say, John, I've got the wrong numbers open on my screen, so I was looking at the wrong track, but yeah. Yeah, probably. I like Hungary. I'm looking forward to Budapest next weekend, but I Spa as well. I think tomorrow's race is going to be great. I've just got to ruin that, haven't I, for everybody? We are. If you're just tuning in, by the way, we're just waiting for Q3, which has been delayed after Nico Hulkenberg stopped right at the end of the session. He didn't get through. He was for P14 anyway. John says 8 is X or speakers or no name. Take your pick. The thing, this is a conversation I have every year, so get yourself ready for this one, right? If it's called X, it's called X. If it's called speakers, it's called speakers. They both have a name. But even if you refer to turn to that corner as the corner with no name, it still has a name. Its name is the corner with no name. Or no name. So, but it has a name. People call it a name. Jonty's pointed to out there. So if it's no name, that's its name. So it has a name. There you go. Pedantry. Love it. Hydraulic leak for Hulkenberg, says Kevin. Pascal says Hulkenberg has rotten luck this season. Yeah, not going to get into next year. Last year, sorry. And the title fight. I will now call it Waffle Corners, says Alfie. There you go, we'll call it Waffle. Call it, yeah. Sean, have a drink and don't worry about it. I've given up. For me, it's just the hairpin. I'll tell you what, mate, I will have a drink and I'm going to have a lovely glass of orange squash because I'm 40. It's a little, I think it's a little bit, well, it's 3:45. It was a little bit early to be drinking. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe later. I've got some beers. I'm going to absolutely refuse to watch the football, and then Jonty will message me, and then I'll probably end up watching it because we'll slag everybody off because it's quite funny. This entire, I said it the other week, the best bit about the football for me has just been me and Jonty on WhatsApp slagging everybody off and talking how crap everybody is. It's been a lot of fun. What's orange squash? You would probably call it cordial, Red Raven. So it's like an orange flavoured drink you add water to. So it's a cordial. We call it squash. Or I don't know if the rest of the country calls it squash, but in my neck of the woods we call it squash. I'm sure there's a very good reason why, but that's what we call it. It's actually orange and mango. While we're waiting to surprises, who does everyone have for the World Cup? Yeah, go on then. There you go. While we're waiting for this, predictions for the World Cup final tomorrow. Nobody cares about third place. No one gives a flying flamingo about it, so I'm not interested. Who's going to win it? I'm pretty sure I know who FIFA want to win it. But I want Spain to win it because I'll win some money if they do. But also, as a squad, as a team, I prefer Spain. Dave says they call it squash down south as well. If you are new to the channel, by the way, this is more testing stream all of a sudden because we're waiting for it to start. It will start in 2 minutes' time, Q3. So that's why we're talking about the World Cup final and orange squash / cordial. But yeah, we'll get off that as soon as we get some cars out on track doing some laps. So yeah, Jonty says long live Spain. And that's been translated from Viva España. There you go. Wow, translate getting something somewhat right for a change. Yes, but I'm very much looking forward to the next World Cup when hopefully we don't have. Well, I think no, don't matter. Once the horse is bolted and all that, we'll still have hydration breaks and shite like that again. A solid 0-0 after 120 minutes, 5-4 Spain after penalties, and a solid 300 milo of damages in bar fight, says Red Raven. Maybe, yeah. I hope it's not a 0-0. I'd like to see some goals. 50 seconds to go until we get into what will be, of course, Q3, the top 10 shootout. Go on, chat. Who's going to get poll then before we get going? I should have done that one before the football. Who's going to poll one surname? I'll read some out as they do their outlaps, and then we'll focus on what's happening on track. But yes, please do let me know who you think it's going to be. I'm going to go with Kimi. I think he was my prediction on Wednesday anyway. I'll double check that. Also, apologies. I know Red Raven, you spotted it. I was a bit late getting the prediction pinned. I do it randomly. I use a thing online that picks a random comment. So it doesn't affect it. Yeah, I went with Antonelli, so it doesn't affect anything, but I usually like to do it for FP1 just so it's fairer, but I was a bit slow this week. But yeah, I forgot. It's as simple as that. Here we go then. The top 10 shootout, the fight for pole position. Antonelli, Leclerc, Norris, Hamilton, Verstappen, Lindblad, Piastri, Russell, Hadjar, and Bortoletto are your top 10. I'm going with Kimi for pole. I'd love to see a surprise Max pole. Jonty, I think you probably know that. But I'd take Antonelli or Verstappen on pole. I'd take Leclerc on pole. Any Ferrari on pole, so Hamilton as well. I wouldn't mind a Hadjar pole. Do you know what? Screw it. Lindblad. Why not? That'd be brilliant as well, wouldn't it? But yeah, so... Hillbilly Reefer says Leclerc for pole. Antonelli has it 1,000,000%, says Professional Moron. Craig has gone with Antonelli. Lando on pole. I'm feeling spicy, says Jamie. That's 2 different questions, mate. Kimi pole, then Chuck, then Max, says Kevin. I love that people call him Chuck. I don't know why. Norris has stopped in... Oh, he's creating space. Obviously, is Sean. Verstappen, Antonelli, Hamilton for FUD, says... Norris will be 3rd in quali but lose it to his penalty. Yeah, don't forget it will be a 10th-place grid drop for Norris. Red Raven says Hamilton just randomly out of nowhere. He said the others are favourites. That usually does it. Yeah. If you're getting a surprise poll, you're looking at a Hamilton or Verstappen, aren't you? They just do sometimes just deliver it. Valtteri Bottas, hoping for a Hamilton pole. John says surprise Max pole. Pascal says Antonelli, Verstappen, and Hamilton. Clouds have lifted some, but sunny now, says Hillbilly Reefer. I don't think he's started a poem. I think he's observing the weather on TV. Tyler Temperley. I struggle with that there. It's all very easy. He says dilute juice, very boring. Yeah. It's because I've had drinks on stream before, and then I've said things that I wish I really hadn't. So I try to avoid any alcohol when I'm streaming because, yeah, if you think I've got verbal diarrhea anyway, wait till I've had a drink. Looks like Hadjar might be going to give Max a toe down the main straight, try and reduce that 5-second deficit. So 0.5 deficit. If anyone calls him LeChuck, they have to play Monkey Island afterwards. It's the law, says Jonty. Here we go then. Let's see if Hadjar is going. Hadjar, he's just going through one. Verstappen is through the final corner. So, Hadjar would have to back off a little bit, wouldn't he? Don't forget, Hadjar starts last. So, yeah, they're not quite right on this one, Red Bull, at all. So, whether he's going to do a time first and then try the toe later, second runs, maybe. But Hadjar setting a lap is sort of pointless because he starts from right down the back anyway. So, Craig says hand Sean the vodka. Yeah. Not vodka. I honestly, vodka makes me punchy. I don't know why. Not like necessarily violently. I just like punching things, which is violent. So I don't know why I said not violently, but yeah, I try to avoid vodka where I can. Craig hands another bottle of vodka probably. Let's see what happens. Damn monitor. Anthony 30.2, Russell a 30.2 in the first sector, Leclerc 30.2 but nearer 30.3. So we're looking at Russell, Leclerc, Antonelli at the moment. Verstappen 3/10 down the 30. In fact, actually, Hadjar is backed right out of it now. Is he going to give the toe through there? He might be. So he's going to go through Paul Ferrer, which is 15th. Hadjar's picked up speed. They have. This is where they've gone for the toe. Interesting. So are they feeling the final sector is where they're losing more time than necessarily... That run has a lovely toe. Well done to Red Bull. They might try down the Kemmel Straight as well. And then Hadjar jumps right out of the way. Very well played, Red Bull. That's why he wasn't ready for the Kemmel Straight. Here goes Verstappen as he's going to set the first to set a time. It's a 1:44.9, so we are in the 44s, and that is Verstappen's best final sector of the session. Here goes Antonelli. He goes fastest on a 44.8. They won't be doing the toe at Mercedes. So George Russell might have picked up a cheeky one. He crossed the line and goes on a 45.1. He's third at the moment. Here comes Arvid Lindblad. Just falling away now, 1.2 seconds off, but on used tyres. Bear that in mind. Piastri, Hadjar, and Bortoletto also on used tyres. It's a 44.8, half a tenth between Antonelli and Leclerc as Bortoletto goes 6th on those used tyres. Here comes Piastri on used tyres, goes 5th. And then we're going to get Hamilton and Norris. Norris purple in the middle sector, by the way. Hamilton goes 4th fastest. Norris is pushing hard here. I don't think many saw Norris coming. He does go provisional pole, but it's not going to count because he gets his 10 place grid drops. That would be P11, but he's fastest in qualifying by 400ths of a second. There you go. So Norris a bit of a surprise there, but again, we're going to have to get into that blooming what pole position means conversation again, aren't we, the next week or whatever. If Norris finishes P1 today, he will not be credited with pole position, because pole position is when you go out to line up on pole, basically, which is why Leclerc still keeps his pole from Monaco a few years ago when he didn't start because he didn't check the drive shaft or whatever it was at the time. Think Schumacher at Monaco, he took fastest time in quali but didn't keep pole position, which is a real shame. So as it stands, pole position will be in Antonelli and he will start from P1. So all of that loss was turn 14 and a run to turn 18, Russell is told on the radio. And George says, blimey, he didn't. It's a shame in some ways that Norris has that penalty, because that top four drivers, 4 different teams, that could be a lot of fun, actually. But it's still going to be 3, I suppose. But Oscar Piastri wide there, kicking up some gravel. Will they feel the need to do anything about that? No, he's not dragged too much on. That's okay. But yeah, used tyres for Piastri, Lindblad, Bortles, Hadjar. So not massively surprising. They're the bottom 4, but also Hadjar gave Max the tow. So that's not a surprise either. Cheeky boy Lando says surprises no. Honestly, didn't think McLaren will be anywhere this weekend. So that's I know he's taken new bits for his. What's he taken? I've forgotten again. I keep forgetting what he's taken. Bear with. He's taken a new battery, hasn't he? Norris. Red flag. I wonder if that's for the gravel. I did suggest that, by the way. Saw that coming. Red flag. No one's crashed. It's just for some gravel on track. I assume, anyway, because we had a little wide moment for Mr. Oscar Piastri. So I tried to read and talk at the same time. As a man, it's difficult to multitask. As a moron, it's even harder. He'll start from the back of the grid. That's Isack Hadjar. Norris taking his 4th battery. There we go. 4th battery of the season for Norris. So it's not a lot of gravel there. Come on. Come on. Get on with it. I feel like I should get a cookie for my 44.7 or 0.8 cut. You should. You absolutely should. I don't even know what I can... Have I got anything I can... There you go, mate. I can't give you a cookie. I'll give you a stoff. There you go. You can have a stoffel. Just for you in chat. For your correct into the 44s call. Pretty much spot on as well. So, yeah. There you go. Yeah, waffle would have made more sense, to be fair. Do you know what? You can have a waffle as well. There we go. Don't forget, if you'd like to support the channel, you can do so through channel memberships and Patreon. Link in the description. While we've got this little break, just to sort of build on what I was saying earlier, without banging on about it too much. It's just because it's all I think about at the minute. So, the next... Where are we? July. So the next 6 months, let's say, are pretty critical for what happens next year. We are getting to the stage where we're where we were with the F1 were before it was sold, whereby if the channel doesn't become financially viable by the end of the year, it may well be that that's it for me. We'll see. That's not to guilt trip people. That's just to sort of be quite honest about it. So the reason I'm making that point is that I'm contemplating breaking one of my rules, which is I've never ever put content behind a paywall, but I might come up with maybe a 1 video a month series for Patreon supporters, because I feel like you need more if you're going to support the channel, and encourage people to do the same. But if you would like to become a member or join us on Patreon, you can do. But remember, he's already got there, says Red Raven, become a member. Get a helmet. That's what we say. So you'll also get access to the wonderful waffle emoji and the Stoffel Van Dorn emoji. So there you go. What more do you want? I mean, there you go. But yeah, it's just being one thing I always want to be. something I wasn't always on the F1 word is transparent with people, so I'm just going to always be honest with you all now. So there you go. That was that. But likes, if nothing else, likes and subs, greatly appreciated. They do make a massive difference. So if you haven't already, drop a like on the stream and subscribe if you are new. I was contemplating turning this new wonderful YouTube feature on, apparently, where you could put mid-roll ads in, but the ad appears on the side rather than over the stream, so you can still watch the stream and you have your ad on the side. And I thought about it. However, apparently it mutes the stream, which I think for a watch-along and a waffle discussion channel, that's moronic, because it would just be me going, and that's not really great content. It's not great content anyway, is it? But that's not great content. So yeah, I turned that off pretty rapidly. So there you go. Yeah, I got the triple segue. That I was so impressed. Do you know what, Red Raven, mate? I said it in the preview. I was so pathetically proud of that segue for Silverstone. It was total fluke. I started listing things and looking at how numbers worked, and I was like, hang on a minute. If we divide that by 9, I was like, oh my god, my head nearly exploded. It was the best day of my life. Best day of my life. Don't tell me the other half that, but it was the best. It was the best day of my life. And then I came back with a boring one this week, which was terrible, wasn't it? So, still waiting for the gravels to be cleared. Session will start in about 3 minutes' time, or restart in about 3 minutes' time. As it stands, Lando Norris on provisional pole, but not pole, 144.8. He'll take a 10-place grid drop, whatever happens. Antonelli, 400s back in second. Leclerc, half a tenth back in third. Verstappen, less than a tenth back in fourth. Hamilton, less than a tenth back in fifth. Russell, less than a tenth back in sixth. Then we've got 3 tenths to Piastri, 6 tenths to Lindblad, and 4 tenths to Bortoletto. And then a big gap back to Hadjar, who's going to be starting from the back end of the grid anyway. And those bottom 4 were on used tyres anyway. So we'll see what we get from there. I still fancy Antonelli. I know Norris is cropped up there, but I still think I still fancy Kimi. I think there's more. Anthony's first and final sectors are really impressive. Norris's middle sector is a 46.1. It's 4 tenths quicker than Antonelli, so it's all in that middle sector for Norris at the moment. So yeah, we're nearly there. We're nearly there with a restart. 2 minutes to go. Again, no accident. Nobody's crashed. It is just a cleaning up of the gravel session, let's say. If the midstreamer mutes you, what about those of us who have YouTube Premium? I assume it would work as the same way as normal ads do. Go. If I put an ad in the stream now, I won't press the button. Don't worry. If you've got Premium, you shouldn't get an ad. I assume it would work the same way. But if you do, I think what YouTube have done very quickly is they've, rather than encouraging people to subscribe to Premium by making Premium better value for money, they've decided to try and make the non-Premium YouTube experience as difficult as possible, to try and force people to. The best way to get people to or encourage people to sign up to something is to make it more value for money. And I personally, I think Premium is value for money because of the amount of time the amount of YouTube I consume, but for some people it's not worth it. But the way isn't to then force them to. Anyway, imagine if Hadjar gives Max a toe, says FUD, then accidentally locks up into bus stop and causes a yellow. I'd probably stay away from the interwebs for fear of fallout. Yes, I definitely would. If you could time the ads so they come up during these downtimes, I'd do it, Sean. I can press a button right now. There's a little button on my dashboard that I could press and it'll insert an ad immediately. So I do sometimes wonder about doing it between sessions to try and maximise, as we do go green for the final part of quali, to sort of maximise revenue. But I also notice when I've done that in the past, the numbers drop off because people just click away. So it's kind of it's a balancing act, trying to work out the best way to put ads in. Tricky because you don't want to lose people. You don't want people turning off because it's this guy's just putting ads in everywhere or whatever. But I don't really think an ad break between Q1 and Q2 and Q3 and say Q3 and me doing the results, that's only 3 in a 2-hour stream. Isn't horrendous, is it? I mean, on TV you get ads every 15 minutes, unless you're in America, and then apparently you get them every 7 seconds. I don't know if that's an exaggeration. We're in this little lull. Everyone's back in the pits, waiting for the best track conditions, and they'll all go out exactly the same time and get in each other's way. That's what we do in F1. We love the sport, really. So. But yes, we've got less than 5 minutes to go. I reckon we'll be another minute-ish, give or take. I've got premium as well, Sad Mariners fan. I think creators get paid more from premium as well, but no, you wouldn't see the ads, Craig, as I'll double check and I'll confirm it tomorrow with you. Like last time when you told me something and I said that you were wrong, and you said I was wrong, and I went and checked and you were right. You might be right again, but I think if you have premium, you still wouldn't see ads if I inserted them. It's just for those that don't have premium, if that makes sense. So I'll double check it. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But yeah, if people can't afford premium, I don't think it's fair to just bombard them with ads. Some people just can't afford things like that. So. Norris is heading out. We've got cars on track. Hadjar to be first. Verstappen right behind him. I wonder if they're going for the toe. Maybe. But yeah. Lewis Hamilton heads out. We've got Lindblad behind him. Then we've got Piastri and then Norris. So I wonder if... No, there's no... I was going to say, I wonder if Norris is going to get a toe from Piastri. It's sort of pointless, isn't it? Because Norris gets the penalty. So yeah. You say that golf balls, but I remember when Stuart did his Raid Shadow Legends advert, because he gave in and took the money, because they do offer very good money, or they did. I don't know if they still do. And he took the money, and he just, because everyone said do it, so he did, and it was just so bloody funny. The sarcasm was off the charts. But yeah. I could do. I tell you what I'll do then. When I have, because what David said, do a trial at the end of the stream to see if it does block the sound or show for premium, etc. What I'll do is when I go for my drink before I go through the results, I'll press the insert an ad button, and then you tell me if you have premium, whether you saw an ad or not, and if you didn't, then we'll know the answer. But I will have to sit for a few seconds to wait for people to come back. But yeah, that's probably the best time to try it when people are already checking out after the session. So yeah, that's a good idea. I know, Craig, but I've got this stupid guilt, imposter syndrome, I think the kids call it. I don't feel like I deserve to put ads in my videos, or that my videos are good enough to distract people from the content within them. But, you know, that's just me being an idiot. 130,000 people seem to like my content at one point, so, you know. Look at the numbers, Sean. It tells you the answer. Here we go, then. Let's get off this topic before I start ranting and raving about certain knobheads. Here goes Verstappen down into turn 1, last source if you prefer. It looks like Hadjar is going to do the same thing as before, so the run through Paul Frere, Blanchimont into the what we'll still call the bus stop chicane, but it isn't the bus stop chicane anymore. In fact, on the track map is a chicane, so they just chicane. Verstappen on the Kemmel Straight down to Les Combes. Looking good so far. What's he going to do in his first sector? It's a 30.4, so he's a 10th down on Norris and 3/10 down on Antonelli's fastest. So that first sector isn't where, yeah, Verstappen's time has all come so far in his session. In the middle sector as Antonelli does a 30.1, 2/10 quicker than anybody so far today. George Russell beats it. George has arrived in the first sector. Whether or not he'll keep that up for the lap, we'll see. But we'll want to see what Max does to it. The fastest time in the middle sector so far is a 46.1. Verstappen, this is closer than I thought it was going to be. Let's hope this carries on for the full lap. I want to see what Max's middle sector is a 46.1. For Verstappen, it is just here, isn't it? Yeah. 46 flat, so he's purple again. Max has got to tell he's a little bit closer than he might want to be to Isack Hadjar here. I think they might have just got this ever so slightly wrong. I think they have. I think they might have got that a little bit wrong. Let me know what you think, chat. If you are watching this, so we're doing a watch along. I think that I might be wrong. It was either the best toe you've ever seen in your life, or it was ever so slightly off. Over the line goes Max. He goes. It worked. 28-1 isn't purple, though. He does go provisional pole. Here comes Kimi Antonelli and takes it off him with a 44.3, 3/10 quicker than Max Verstappen. What can George Russell do? I'll step away from the mic a little bit because I'm starting to get a bit giddy. Here comes George, only P4, half a second off, so didn't manage to keep that up over the course of the lap. Here comes Charles Leclerc as the checkered flag is flown. He stays fifth. Hamilton over the line. He stays sixth. Oh, Ferrari, what have you done? Here comes Lindblad's flying. By the way, and Arvid Lindblad goes seventh. They got all giddy then. He went seventh place. Still a very good lap, really. Ahead of a McLaren at the moment. Here comes Norris. Piastri, sorry, because that's an epic lap if that's Norris. He goes seventh and displaces Lindblad. Norris is not. I'm not going to say that. He's abandoned the lap. I was going to say he's not really delivering, but then you never know, do you? So Kimi Antonelli is on pole position for the Belgian Grand Prix from Max Verstappen. Lando Norris qualifies third, will start 13th. George Russell will move up to third. He's fourth. Leclerc will move to fourth. Hamilton will move to fifth. Piastri will move to sixth. Lindblad to seventh. Bottas to eighth. And Hadjar to ninth. And Lawson into the top 10. But is Kimi on pole? That got a little interesting towards the end, didn't it? But then... it was exciting until Kimi crossed the line, and then you saw the 3/10 to Verstappen, and you went, oh, okay. 44.3. Where's Hillbilly Reefer? 44.3. That's a hell of a lap. I thought you were ambitious with a 44.8. Hadjar will drop back as well. Sorry, yeah, you're right, Red Raven. Sorry, we'll go through it properly in a minute. But yeah, no, that's a hell of a lap time. Norris was wide, which is what cost him that. Yeah. Wide at campus on the run to Stavolo, I think. Yeah. Shame. But he wouldn't start from pole anyway, so it's Kimi. But yeah, that's really caught me out. Yeah, I honestly thought you were being ambitious, Hillbilly Reefer, with the 44.8, but a 44.3. Max was nearly right. Norris was right at a 44.8, as was Russell and Leclerc. So yeah, awesome stuff. Get your comments in chat then. So if you are here, first of all, thank you for joining us. Please drop a like on the stream and subscribe, blah 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 blah. I'm going to do something now that I don't usually do. I'm going to insert an ad because we're doing a test. This isn't just for money. This is for a test. So I'm going to hit the button for an ad, go get a drink. So I'll be about 30 seconds, let's say, and I'll come back to you and we'll run through the order. So let's do that now. Some of you may still be able to hear me, but I'll see you in 30 seconds. There we go. So if you got an ad, if you can hear me, you might not hear me yet. I don't know how long the ad is. If you got an ad, just comment ad in the chat. If you didn't, just comment no ad. Kevin says, I hate this channel, too many ads. Yeah. All right, Kev. All right, mate. All right. First ad since you clicked on the stream or whatever. Got a short ad, 5 to 6 seconds ad, stop the sound. There was no sound, to be fair. That was stupid. I should have kept talking, shouldn't I? So we've done part of the test. We'll actually do the part tomorrow. We'll see. Annette got an ad, no ad. So Craig didn't get it. So we know that Craig was premium as well. So obviously it doesn't. Yeah, I thought that was the case, but just the way they've worded certain things with their ad thing. But 14 people disappeared, by the way, just to let you know what happens when you hit the ad button sometimes. Yeah, I'll come back to you in chat. I'll run through the order quickly, and then I'll come and see what you said about the ads in there. But yeah. Kimi Antonelli is pole position for the 2026 Belgian Grand Prix, out-qualified Max Verstappen by 3/10. Just saying to chat there if you're watching later and you've only popped in for the result from the timestamp. It all looked very exciting at the end. Then Kimi turned up and did a 44.3 and it just shut everybody up. So Kimi on fire at the moment. He's just... I need to do a video over the summer on him because he's just... Wow. Max Verstappen P2, 3/10 behind. Looked a little bit disappointed, but I don't actually think that's bad compared to where Red Bull have been of late. I think that's still a good result. Norris, a bit of a surprise. Wasn't expecting McLaren to be in it this weekend. He qualified third, will start 13th. In fact, he might be 12th, but he won't be third. He'll take a 10-place grid drop for the race tomorrow. George Russell will bump up to third place. He qualified fourth, half a second off his teammate, despite actually being a little bit quicker in the first sector. So he lost his time. In the middle sector was 2/10 slower. In the final sector was 2/10 slower. So, so he lost all his time in the final two sectors. So George, again, not really on the pace of his teammate in quali. See what happens tomorrow. Leclerc, he qualified fifth, will move up to fourth. Hamilton will move up to fifth place. Again, Ferrari half a second off the pace. Shame, given where they were at Silverstone and indeed Barcelona, of course. But more of an Austria weekend at the moment. We'll see if that changes tomorrow. Piastri, only seventh in qualifying, promoted to sixth. Lindblad, one of the qualifiers of the day, I think, chat. I think that's fair. I think he's been really impressive today. He qualified 8th, will start 7th, 45.1 for him. But he's been really rapid so far today with that updated Racing Bulls. Bortoletto, by the way, P9. Great stuff from him, 45.6. He'll be promoted to 8th place. Hadjar ended up 10th. He gave Max Verstappen the tow twice in qualifying. He'll drop to the back of the grid with his penalties. Bye, Annette, by the way. Annette's going for the evening. Take care, Annette. Hopefully see you tomorrow for the reaction. Have a good one. Lawson, he'll be promoted a couple of places. So he is 11th at the moment. 46.1 knocked out in Q2. He was joined by Gasly, Colapinto, Hulkenberg, Sainz and Bearman in Q2 getting knocked out. Bearman actually quite a way off getting through, but only a little bit quicker in the first session than Albon. He was 17th, was Alex Albon. Esteban Ocon in Q1. What was he? Was he 8/10 off his teammate in Q1? Yet to see if there was a reason. If you do know, let me know in chat and I'll give you a shout out for that. Bottas 19th, Perez 20th, Fernando Alonso 21st, Lance Stroll 22nd. Reminder, Alonso and Stroll both take penalties, but I think Stroll actually gains places despite taking a penalty. So that shows how daft the penalty system is. But let's not beat Aston Martin too much. Give them their penalties, but punish them no further because they've had enough. I bet they can't wait for this updated car, and I can't wait to see if it's going to work or if it's going to be an absolute failure. Yeah, second off in the end, but in that session, it was 8/10, wasn't it? Which is still bad enough. So yes, there we go. So just a quick check of what you all said. Ad. Yeah, so those without premium were shown an ad. Those with premium weren't. So that's what I thought was the case. But it was a good test. So whoever suggested that, thank you for suggesting, because that was a very good idea. And now we know. We have our answer. Get your comments in chat. Get your questions in, and we'll talk about. We'll do some predictions as well. I'll stay live for 10-15 minutes and then we'll wrap it up there for today. Any questions about the session, the race tomorrow, or anything F1 related, and we'll have a chat. If you are disappearing, thank you for joining me for the stream, and hopefully see you tomorrow for the race reaction. Race starts at 2 p.m. BST, assuming it's not complete chaos. Should be live about 4 p.m. BST, so a couple of hours after. Shortly after the checker flag falls, got Jonty with me, and we'll have a chat. So likes and subs and reminders and all that. So thank you very much for your support. But we'll stay live for a few minutes, a good 15 minutes, and we'll have a chat about a few. They've got shopping coming at 5, so I've definitely got to be gone by then. Good luck with that one, but we'll see. Yeah, people are back now. The ads have gone. Are you surprised Mercedes are keeping George for next year? Seems to me they can go out and get someone like Sainz who would be faster and cheaper. I mean, they could go out and get Verstappen. They don't seem to want to. No, I'm not surprised they're keeping George. I understand why people think maybe they shouldn't. But I'm not surprised they keep. In fact, I don't. Again, I don't think there's going to be much of a shuffle on the grid next year. I think Verstappen will stay where he is. I think McLaren will stay as they are. Ferrari will definitely stay as they are. I think Mercedes will stay as they are. So it's not the movement is going to be Alonso, what he decides to do, and whether Sainz has had enough of Williams. So I'm not surprised. They're sticking with Russell. Would I stick with Russell? Again, the trouble is, I go back to, and I know people think I hate Valtteri Bottas, but you're just so wrong with that. But I know I've said before, I'll go back to 2018, I said at the time I would drop Bottas because his 2018 performance was poor. And then he proved me completely wrong in 2019. So if I sit here today and say I would get rid of Russell right now, what if he bounces back next year? That's a terrible call. So I don't know. I'll think about it, Moray, but I'm not surprised that they're sticking with him. Verstappen could be available. when this clause triggers after Hungary, the day after Hungary, I think it is, officially. Mathematically, it's already triggered, but officially it triggers after Hungary. They could go get him, but if Kimi Antonelli is clearly their main man now, or long-term their main man, so why would you go and put Max in that second car and upset that dynamic? I don't know. I think that's maybe what Toto Wolff is thinking, but I also don't believe Max will leave Red Bull anyway. If he does leave, it'll be for a sabbatical or retirement. I don't think he's going anywhere else, because we'll get into that another day, but yeah. All the vague posting the other day on Twitter from certain people who should know better was aiming at that, wasn't it? Verstappen going to McLaren, but I'm so pleased that people have come out and dismissed that, and it's just a load of nonsense. It was a non-race week. They had nothing to talk about. It has been relatively quiet between Barry Baltus. Why do I know that name? It presented the pole position award. I know the name and the face, and I can't think from where. Tell me in chat if you know. I can't think. Anyway, it'll come to me, I'm sure. But yeah, no, it's just a load of crap, basically. Please click on our website. Please click on our website. Please click on our website. We haven't got any decent journalism, so we've got to try and vague post or make shit up to try and get some clicks, etc. Imagine Imagine Jaws wins Hungary and then Max is announced the Monday morning after, says John T. Well, that's it now. George Russell is George, just like Alex Albon is always Chris. There you go. Chris and George. When does Piastri Norris's McLaren contract end? Is there even space for Max to get in there? There's always room to get somebody in. You know, contracts can be ended pretty quickly, but I think both Norris and Piastri are long-term deals. I think the Max Verstappen thing, super quickly, is the clause has been triggered. Max may be angling for a better deal. He's paid well, but he might be angling for a better deal. He might be angling for better terms. He might be angling for putting a boot up Red Bull's backside and trying to get them to sort the car out, which I think they are doing. They're better today and recently than they have been at some races or earlier in the season. So I think it's probably a motivational thing, let's say. I think he will be at Red Bull next season. Bearing in mind, I would say, fairly consistently, Max Verstappen has said he wants to see his time out at Red Bull. So he wants to be there to the end of his contract in 2028. And I think there aren't really any options out there. I don't believe the rumours. And I think he'll still be... And the saddest part is we'll be having this exact same conversation next year because his clause comes up at this time every year and it just drives me mad. So no. He'll stay. Maybe a stake in the Red Bull team, Moray. He's just taken on one of the McLaren's young drivers, hasn't he, under his wing? So maybe he wants to get him into... maybe he's looking at getting a Verstappen program started or something or whatever. Yeah. Maybe. Kevin just talks about ads in all the time now. So put one ad in and Kevin's like, oh, this place is all ads now. I've had enough of it. Now he wants more. Kevin, come on. Or just do super chats. It's even easier. Then I get to read your awesome comments. I mean, I think the problem is, when it comes to super chats, by the way, I think because I read pretty much everything in the chat, it's pointless spending money on that. So maybe if I just ignore you all, Charles Edward Cheese might come back. Bless him. I said this the other week. I hope he's okay. He just kind of disappeared, but I hope he's okay and everything's fine. If you are listening, Charles, you don't need to send a super chat. Just say hi in chat. Just want to know you're okay. He's with McLaren to get a better deal on a Ford hypercar drive, says Neelish. I don't even think the conversation with McLaren are ongoing. I think there would have been a conversation. I think there would have been a conversation, but I think the conversation would have gone something along the lines of, do you have a seat? And McLaren went no. And that was it. I just don't see the point in... I love it. Very quickly, still talking about it, but I don't see the point in Max Verstappen moving elsewhere. He's not going to get the top dog status that he gets at Red Bull, at Mercedes, or McLaren, or Ferrari, so stay where he is. Just try and encourage it to... or talk to other teams, let the speculation run wild, get yourself a deal that's even better for you, maybe some more money, maybe a stake in the team, as was suggested there, maybe something to do with the junior program, get a better deal and stick around until 28. You have to extend your deal, you can just renegotiate it, but Red Bull don't really have another option. Yes, Lindblad's impressing, but he's not ready to hop in there and replace Max Verstappen. Hadjar's had a decent year in that second car. He's not ready to be the Verstappen replacement. So, yeah, he'll stay where he is. He might, and there you go. Red Raven's got there before me. I'll give you the shout of this. Says that I can absolutely see Verstappen negotiating a deal that allows him to race at the Nürburgring 24, Le Mans, etc. It could be that. It could be I want to do some endurance racing. I want to go over to WEC. I want to do this, that, and the other. Currently, my agreement doesn't allow me to do that. I want that inserting, and to be honest, that's probably a decent trade-off for Red Bull. But yeah, we've got all the summer break on streams and in videos to talk about the driver market. But yeah, that's my take on Verstappen. We'll see. But the Ford hypercar thing's an interesting one. It is. Here's something no one has contemplated. If Audi does what they've done in other race leagues and become a front runner, they could be a great landing spot for Max out of the box. Yes, but yeah, exactly. So, you know, I know it's Ferrari versus Audi, but Michael Schumacher went to Ferrari when they were in their darkest days of performance. Well, didn't he? He went there and built the team around him. And he could do the same at an Audi or a Cadillac, maybe an Aston Martin. There's the rumours that Christian Horner might be going to Aston Martin as team boss, which is... I'm not sure how Adrian Newey would feel about that, but also the idea that you'd have Newey, Horner and Verstappen all at Aston Martin is quite funny. Get Wheatley over there as well, why not? MSC Byless, hey mate, says that Max may well win tomorrow. Energy starvation will be less of a factor for a team with strongest ICE. Bearing in mind as well, it's a very good point, but bearing in mind that the run to Les Combes, in particular, down that Kemmel Straight, Verstappen's going to get a hell of a tail off Antonelli if he gets the first couple of corners right, isn't he? So he could be leading early on. Do you know what? A Max win tomorrow shuts a lot of this bollocks down, frankly, about his future. It shuts it down immediately. Maybe not completely, but yeah, that's... I've still got the sound on, by the way, because I'm listening to Kroon Chandok doing his analysis of these laps to see if there's anything I've spotted before we end the stream. But yeah, here for the aftermath, this Byless. Yeah, I don't know. I think probably if you want my little review of qualifying, maybe Byless if you've just come in, but. We were excited at the end, as I'm sure you were. It looked like we're going to have a 3 or 4 way fight for pole, and then Kimi just casually slaps in a 44.3, and we all go, holy crap. But I think that's a really good... I mean, yes, Norris drops back, but Russell up there, Verstappen sandwiched between them. We know what Verstappen and Russell are like when they get together on track, so that could be fun. I think we're in for a decent race tomorrow. Actually, I'll tell you, that's my review. A decent race tomorrow, good quality. My standout driver, 100% today, is Arvid Lindblad. Yeah, Anthony's pole. He's been doing that all year now, hasn't he? But Lindblad, really impressive today. And impressed by Bortoletto as well. I'm not sure. I don't know if anyone's heard anything from Team Radio that I didn't pick up on during that session. Kind of hard to kind of keep up with Team Radio while I'm waffling away. But did Verstappen make any comment on that toe from Hadjar? Because it looked borderline a little bit too close. It was one of those that was so close it was either the perfect slipstream or it was too close. And I don't know, his final sector was only 85 1,000th slower than Antonelli, but I think the first toe felt better on the first run, so I don't know. But yeah, I think my review of quali, incredible stuff from Antonelli. Really happy to see Max up there. A little bit surprised to see Norris up there, although again he drops back. Maybe that's the battery, I don't know, but I just didn't expect McLaren to be there. My biggest disappointment though, Ferrari. It seems as though, and I'm basing this off 4 races rather than the whole season, but it feels at the moment as though we're having one of those Ferrari years, and this feels like an evergreen statement, where they turn up to a race weekend, deliver a stunning performance, have the pace to beat anybody, like Barcelona, win the race, then turn up the next weekend and then nowhere, then turn up and have the pace to win at, say, Silverstone for argument's sake, and get all my hopes up, again, and then turn up to Spa and they're kind of nowhere again. They're half a second off the fastest time, but I don't think it's as bad as Austria. I don't think they're nowhere. They're 200 slower than Russell. Leclerc is, and Hamilton's only 2,000ths further back, and they're not far off Norris and Verstappen. So I think today was a special lap from Antonelli. Otherwise, I think it's quite close in there. So Craig says, notice how Norris did not provide Piastri a tow. Yeah, but can you hear the cogs? Can you just hear that in there? My brain trying to work out what I want to say. I think the problem for Norris is because it's only a 10 place grid drop. He doesn't want to qualify too low. So the last thing he wanted was to qualify like the Hadjar in sort of 9th, 10th place, then have to take 10 place on top of that. So I think he still needed to qualify as high as he could, which was P3, to minimise the impact of that penalty. So giving Piastri a tow risks him dropping further down the grid than he wants to, if you follow. So, yeah, he could have done, but then Piastri's not been that quick this weekend. He was over a tenth behind Hamilton. The tow might give him a couple of tenths. Would that have made a massive difference? Maybe. If it had worked, probably. But yeah, it does rattle. The brain does rattle. No offense, but I can hear the sound between those cogs crunching, or maybe that's just my own head. It might be both, Red Raven. It might be both, mate. Very easily could be. Surprises no says, sorry, chat, can I get a quick summary of the penalties to the drivers this weekend? You can indeed. I'm going to pull up my what I'm going to call article of the day. Thank you, the race, which again feels like an evergreen statement. So Isack, Hadjar, Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll and Lando Norris all get penalties. Hadjar, new ICE, internal combustion engine, turbocharger and exhaust. His is the biggest penalty of all the drivers. He will start at the back of the grid unless the team do want to pull him into the pit lane, which I said earlier. Norris has taken a 4th battery, so he gets a 10-place grid drop. Stroll has taken a new MG UK, so he gets a 10-place grid drop. And Fernando Alonso has a back of the grid penalty like Hadjar because he took multiple new engine components this morning. So it is Alonso, Stroll, Norris, Hadjar and Alonso to the back, which is going to destroy Alonso's weekend, having qualified 21st. And Norris drops 10 places as does Stroll, then that's going to destroy his weekend because he started 22nd. The annoying thing is about these penalties is that Stroll will actually start, I believe, Hadjar Alonso drop behind him, so he will start 20th. So he qualified 22nd, got a 10-place grid penalty, and starts 20th. Joachim says, is it Joachim? I think we've had this conversation before. So yeah, it says giving him a tow would have been a big boost for Piastri so much. He should have done it. Yeah, I agree. I agree that if he'd done it, it would have been a big win for Piastri. And a couple of tenths might have put him 5th, maybe even 4th. But that would have meant Norris may have had to qualify 9th or 10th, and that would have put him 19th or 20th on the grid. And I think he's going to want to start as high as he can. So I think I think McLaren, if I can preempt social media, I think McLaren will be seen as wrong whichever decision they took. If they sacrifice Norris to help Piastri and Norris ends up 19th on the grid, people are going to say they were wrong. If Norris doesn't give Piastri the tow and Piastri is 7th, they're going to say that they were wrong. So it does start 6th though, Piastri, so there is that. Tricky. It is tricky. Ferrari had a good pace yesterday. Good pace yesterday. They can recover some places. Pascal. I think I closed my document with it on. Actually, that's annoying. Never mind. More bad timing than being close to than being too close for Max and Hadjar, says Kilbilly Reefer. Yeah, maybe. I can't think of anything I've heard on the radio. He isn't happy on the radio, did he? But yeah. Would be good. Hey, Kaori, didn't see you pop into chat there. Quite some media down for 2 days. Yeah, true. Max said it. Well, it won't. When I said earlier, a few minutes ago, about how if Max wins tomorrow, it shuts everybody up. It will until after Hungary, when they realise they've got to fill 3 fully empty weeks. And they basically every article will be Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, whatever happens. Because it's the only way they can get clicks, because, you know, why bother with good journalism? Reading the regulations, Hadjar will start ahead of Alonso despite getting more grid penalties in total, as both the back of the grid and Hadjar qualified higher. Okay, so back row of the grid then for both, unless they decide to put Hadjar in there. But yeah. So no pre-race warm-up stream tomorrow. Then you'll try and hungry. I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm kind of covering my backside for tomorrow because I don't know if I'm going to be ready. My gut feeling right now is probably, if I'm still at this point not sure if I'll have everything ready for tomorrow, probably not to rush it and focus on next week and trial it before the summer break, and then you can all go, that was a great idea, let's bring it back for Zandvoort, or that was terrible, don't ever do it again. It's probably the way to go. So it probably will be for next week. That said, I might wake up in the morning, have everything ready and go for it. So we'll see. But yeah, today was always going to be a normal quality stream, and then we'll see. But yeah, we'll have a think. I'll have a think, but I don't want to rush it. There's more to get ready than you think, than I thought as well. So, well, it's true, isn't it, Kevin? Let's be honest. I no lies detected. Did Piastri even want a toast as Neelish? I'm sure he wouldn't have minded one. Will you live stream the England-France games as surprises? No, absolutely not. I'm not even going to watch it, mate. I am not interested at all in who finishes third in the World Cup. I said it earlier. Just give third place to whoever out of the two teams had the best goal difference, which I assume will be France, and then everyone could just go home and start getting ready for pre-season. Get back to the clubs who actually pay their wages. I've never been a big international football fan. Never. I do get wrapped up in the tournament when it comes around most years, but I'm more domestic football than international, I'm afraid. So I'd rather have I'd rather have Kobe Mainu back at United early so that he's nice and refreshed, but he didn't do fuck all, did he? Would have been perfect in the dying seconds of that game. But anyway, Pascal's going to watch IndyCar tonight. Is IndyCar on tonight? Is it race or qualifying, Pascal? Let me know. If it's a race, I might watch. I don't always get to watch the Indy. Oh, I might have time tonight, actually. Might do. Sad Mariners fan says, I just hope both teams have fun. I hope both teams don't bother. Isn't there there's a game many years ago, I want to say something like Austria-Germany or Austria-somebody, where both sides needed a draw to progress, so they just didn't really play. They just put no effort into the game, and it ended a boring 0-0 or something like that. I can't remember what that was, unless I've dreamt that. I kind of wouldn't mind seeing that happen tonight. If it was to happen, it would be quite funny. I'm not into golf balls. I don't know, you'll be devastated. Immediately cancels membership. But golf balls going to be watching the golf. There's nothing on TV right tonight, so yeah. IndyCar moved their race from downtown Toronto, where I could walk to the game from my house to the middle of nowhere in the north part of the city. That sucks. 10:35 for the race tomorrow. I could watch that. Yeah, I'm not sure. World Cup final will be 8, won't it? So, yeah. If you're looking for something to watch, yes, in the open. Any more? Jamie says ice cream. Yes, get some ice cream. Any more points you want to make? Anything you want to ask me quickly? And I'll finish in a couple of minutes because I've got to disappear and greet the Tesco person at the door and ask them why they've made the most ridiculous substitutions on my shopping again. Can't eat wash powder. That was it. The non-aggression pact. Germany v Austria. Germany won 1-0. Oh, that was it. Yeah. Baxter's good, thank you, Craig. He's cooled down now, so he's happy. Still won't sleep on his cooling mat, which is annoying, but he's okay. Yeah. Which was the score both teams needed. What do you make of the Sainz rumours to Audi, says Pascal? I don't put much stock in them. Honestly, I can't think of any reason at the moment why Audi would want to change their lineup. But again, Carlos Sainz would be a great signing, wouldn't he? I think Sainz could be at Audi when Hülkenberg eventually retires, but I don't think they'll make the change for next year. I'm not. Start of this year, I thought we were going to get a very active driver market, but with the rules changing more substantially than we realised for next year, and then the tweaks on top of that for 2028, maybe we won't see the shuffle we were expecting. Maybe people will wait for next year now, see what happens. So Not sure. Any ideas for content over the summer breaks? Surprises? No. I've been over content a couple of times just to let people know where we're sort of discussing options, but I'm definitely, so I've got some shifts to do to earn some pennies over the summer, but then I'm definitely going to be full time from Zandvoort. But I'd like to try and get at least 1 out a week in the summer break. Whether that's a stream or a video will depend on how things are going that week. I don't want to do what I did between Japan and Miami, where I did nothing really. That wasn't fun. So I'll try and go for, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. I'd rather say 1 a week and then do 6 if I do. But yeah, nothing planned. Probably driver market stuff. Yeah. I want to make sure I've got this right before we go for it in the second half of this year. Exactly second half of this year. Actually, it's 11 in the first half, 11 in the second half of this year, which is nice. After summer break, I mean. Isn't the 2027 the tweak and the 28? No, the 27 is the bigger change. It's the aero changes, Neelish. They're making changes to the rear wing, the floor, and the bib. James Val said yesterday it's a bigger change than people I think realise. So how it's in the 2027 regulations. So have a look. I won't read them now, but there's quite a lot of pink on there for revisions. So I think nobody seems to know about it, but when you go back and have a look at the World Motorsport Council meeting notes and then what happens to the regs afterwards, it was all there. Nobody paid attention. I think the race have got an article somebody said as well, so definitely have a look at that if you haven't already. I'll have a read later, but yeah. Otherwise, you could do a summer break Wednesday live stream, says Pascal. Yeah, I think Wednesday live streams in the summer break is something, even every other week would be something, wouldn't it? But I'd like to start getting to videos as well. I did ask the question in the community section. If you haven't already, have a look in the post section. Get a vote on that one. But I did ask whether you want videos only, live streams only, or a mix of both. And it went exactly the way I thought it would, a mix of both. And that's what I want as well. I want it to be like the old F1 word. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean. It's going to be 9 races second half. I can't see Qatar and Abu Dhabi. See, I think they will. I don't know why. Maybe I'm being naive. Sad Mariners fan, probably I am. I think they will. I think the Bahrain thing is looking less likely than it did 3 weeks ago. I think that's looking less likely, but I think they'll find a way to get them on in Abu Dhabi and Qatar. But again, it's such a volatile situation, isn't it? So could all change next week. Could all change in 2 weeks again. So we'll see. We've got a few. There's no rush. I think they've got until October for Qatar, Abu Dhabi. They need to decide by just after Hungary, I think, for the Bahrain one. But we'll see. Yeah, basically that's it, Jamie. Exactly that, mate. Exactly that. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there though for today because we are just. I don't have Discord. No, mate, I don't. I've got Discord for some people who were Patreon members over on the old channel. I keep meaning to ask them if they'd be fine with me opening that up for Patreon members now or channel members as well. Opening it up to more people. I think they would. I'm not that active over there though, so it wouldn't be a case of if you join Discord, Sean will be there to talk to all the time. I would try to, but yeah, we'll get there. Yeah. Thank you, Red Raven. You're right. And that decision, whilst it feels like the wrong one now, at least meant there was another year of that channel before it died. So, yeah. There is that. But yeah, from some aspects and from some angles, it was the right decision. Sat here now, it feels like the wrong one, but at the time, it probably was the right one. But yeah, let's not dwell on it too much because then I'll start moaning at myself again and that'll be it. I will be live tomorrow, yes, for the race reaction. Definitely surprises, no. There might be a pre-race stream, although I'm starting, having listened to you guys in chat, maybe leaning more towards starting them or trialing them in Hungary just so I can make sure they're ready. Because again, I haven't really got a format in mind and the graphics aren't done and the thumbnails wouldn't be ready. So I don't want to rush it and half-arse it, which, all right, fine, I sometimes do, but yeah, it might be next week, but it's only a week away, so we'll see how we go. But I just like the idea of not being live for the race and being alive around it. You could make a Patreon members closed section, but I know that's more faff and whatnot. Maybe, yeah, that's possible. And my prediction is the race get cancelled because things aren't going to calm down in a week, says Neelish. Yeah. So the stream tomorrow, I'll just end that poll, by the way. Thank you very much, everyone who voted. Appreciate that. 77% said yes, please. And 23 said no. But yeah, I'll make that decision as the dog sits outside the door. So I think Tesco are here. So I'm going to have to go. I know, adult things. Most people are, I've got to go, going down a pub. Me, my shopping's here, got to go. But yes, I will be live tomorrow, definitely with the race reaction, around about 4 p.m. BST. Obviously, that depends on safety cars. If we get safety cars, it might be later, or red flags, it might be later if it rains, for example. But the aim is 4 p.m.-ish, shortly after the race finishes, for some race reaction with John T. If there is a stream tomorrow morning, which again looks unlikely, but if there is, you'll get it scheduled. If not, then I will trial it for Hungary, definitely, and we'll go from there. Please drop a like on the stream if you haven't already, and subscribe if you are new. Like I say, lots to come this weekend still with the race reaction, next week with everything for Hungary, and then a few bits over the summer. Then we are full-time, definitely 100% from Zandvoort, whatever happens, because the work I'm doing elsewhere is seasonal anyway, so the shifts dry up. So I can't do anything anyway. But anyway, as always, thank you for watching. I've been Formula Sean, and until next time, goodbye.